closed. Here's AM 560's Nikki Whaley.
The feds are investigating after an agent was robbed in Chicago's Gold Coast neighborhood. Now, the incident happened Tuesday night near the Drake Hotel in the 900 block of North Michigan. Police say two gunmen got out of an SUV and demanded the victim's property. The man was not hurt. The suspects left the scene heading west on Delaware Street. In the AM 560 The Answer newsroom, I'm Nikki Whaley.
Governor J.B. Pritzker signed a law requiring school districts to establish a full-day kindergarten program within the next 4 years. But now experts in the field are weighing in, saying it's not what's best for the entire state. Allison Maley is the PR director with the Illinois Principals Association.
One of the major concerns we had was that there was no funding allotted for this. And, not only will some districts need additional space, they will need additional teachers.
Brian Sodé is with the Illinois Association of School Boards. It says mandating the entire state to offer full-day kindergarten was a bad way for the governor to go.
Folks who can have done it, and in those areas where there's a struggle for a reason. Either voters have said no, or the facilities or other things become a very real factor.
Districts that currently do not offer a full-day program can apply for a waiver to extend the implementation date for up to 2 years if the law goes into effect. State and local leaders are calling on the federal government to approve funding for major improvements to Union Station. Governor J.B. Pritzker.
The Chicago Hub Improvement Program is an opportunity for new federal infrastructure funding to catalyze the rail system that this region deserves.
The funding would improve performance and reduce Amtrak and Metra delays, according to Mayor Brandon Johnson.
Is working in concert to bring about the type of transformation that the people of Chicago, the state of Illinois, and the entire region and this nation needs.
The program is seeking nearly $870 million from the Federal Railroad Administration's federal-state partnership program. Oak Park officials are changing their mind about demolishing their village hall. They now plan to try and renovate the building. Village President Vicki Scammon pledged the board will focus on renovation and hire a preservation consultant. That structure has only been in place since 1975. Cubs edged the Reds 5-3 to take the series at Wrigley. Jameson Taillon earned the win after giving up 2 runs over 5 innings of work.
Obviously, we took 3 or 4 from a really good team, so that in itself is huge, and I feel like we did it in a lot of different ways. I feel like we slugged a little bit. I feel like we walked a little bit. I feel like we made some great defensive plays.
Chicago improves to 55-53 now, just 2.5 back of first in the NL Central. White Sox couldn't hold on to an early lead and a loss to the Rangers in Texas. The Bears' defense may get a whole lot better. The Bears have signed free agent defensive end Yannick Ngakoue to a 1-year deal, $10.5 million. He racked up 9.5 sacks with the Colts last year. Well, the NFL is now officially back. Browns stormed back from a 9-point halftime deficit to beat the Jets 21-16 in the 2023 Hall of Fame game. Well, the Pac-12 this morning is getting smaller by the hour. Overnight, the University of Arizona says they're close to leaving the conference for the Big 12 after the Big 12 approved the Wildcats' application to join the conference late on Thursday. Fall camp underway for the Illinois football team. Squad kicked off camp with a practice last night in Champaign. The news, a service of Protect and Grow with Tim Stearns. Tune in Saturdays at noon and enjoy weekly discussions to a secure retirement. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
The best conversations happen with a cigar in one hand and a fine drink in the other. Join Dennis Prager live in Chicago for Cigar Night on Thursday, August 24th at Klein Creek Golf Club in Winfield. Presented by Wilkins Mazda and Wilkins Hyundai in Elmhurst. Dennis will be joined by AM560's Dan Proft and Sean Thompson for an evening of cigar smoking and good conversation. Tickets are on sale now at 560theanswer.com/cigar. Sponsored by Paul Davis Restoration, online at pauldavischicago.com.
Do you know the number one complaint homeowners have about remodeling? How long it takes. Rick here from Forever Remodeling. Home remodels that were supposed to take weeks often stretch out to months or even up to a year. That's because many remodelers bite off more than they can chew. They take on too many jobs, they get spread too thin, and you end up frustrated, waiting an eternity for your project to get done. Call Forever Remodeling instead. From start to finish, we show your remodel the attention it deserves. We limit the number of jobs we do at one time. This lets us dedicate ourselves to getting your project done on schedule while delivering a result that's better than you imagined. For a free consultation, call Forever Remodeling at 847-809-3355 or visit foreverremodeling.com. We do kitchens, baths, basements, additions, and more. That's the number 4everremodeling.com.
August 1st, 2023 will long be remembered as a dark day for America. That's when Special Counsel Jack Smith unsealed his latest indictment against former President Trump. It's a miscarriage of justice, again. The wind has been unleashed, and a whirlwind will be reaped. The former president is essentially being indicted for free speech. He's being indicted for objecting to the way the 2020 election was carried out, for maneuvering to keep a job that he believed was his. It really shouldn't matter if you love Trump or if you hate Trump or if you land somewhere in between. I've always disagreed with the former president on this. I've said as much, including to Trump himself. But that is not what the indictment is about. You're allowed to throw Hail Marys in American politics, and Trump's ask of Vice President Pence to put aside the ballots was such a Hail Mary. I'm glad it was incomplete, because it wasn't constitutional. This is simply an attempt to criminalize American politics, and it's a precedent that we cannot unset. It was a very sad day for America.
512 in Chicago. Let's get an update on the roads. We do that in our Team Hochberg Traffic Center. It is a service of Irish Spring. The fresh scent of Irish Spring and those sensational Irish Spring suds. Well, when the spring hits, you're ready. Pick up Irish Spring at your local retailer today. Edens, Kennedy, Ike, and Stevenson are off and on time right now. Stevenson, 22 minutes from 355 into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. Bishop Ford right now, tight spot, 115 into the Stony Island feeder. We're watching delays this morning with on and off shuttle service operating as you travel the South Shore line this morning, and that will be in place through the next couple of weeks. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy starts next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with our AccuWeather meteorologist, Steve Williams.
Partly sunny, pleasant, less humid day. High today, 84. Tonight, partly cloudy, low 67. Clouds and sun, humid tomorrow. Thunderstorm, high 86. Strong thunderstorm on Sunday. Could see some flooding downpours, maybe even an isolated tornado, high 84. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560. The Answer.
Worried about basement flooding? Time to call Permaseal, 800-421-SEAL. 73 at O'Hare, 75 Lakefront, 73 Midway, 59 in Aurora, and your Lake Michigan water temp this morning, 75. Next news, 5:30. Chicago's Morning Answers starts next on AM 560, The Answer.
As you walk around the yard this spring, you'll likely see some cracked or sunken concrete. Maybe a sidewalk, stoop, driveway, or patio. These problems will only get worse, but there is an easy solution. Hi, I'm Roy Spencer with Permaseal. Our poly-level process can raise and level sunken concrete quickly and effectively, putting an end to eyesores and dangerous trip hazards. Poly-level is the quickest, least expensive, and most durable system to repair your sunken concrete problems. So don't live with a problem that will only get worse. Call Permaseal today at 800-421-SEAL for a free estimate. Permaseal's been helping Chicagoland and Northwest Indiana homeowners making their homes healthier and more valuable for over 40 years and has an A-plus rating with the Better Business Bureau. Don't replace it, raise it. Call 800-421-7325 or visit permaseal.net.
Don't best for B and better Permaseal.
A great smile can make you feel happy and confident. So when you consciously conserve your teeth, that glowing smile will show through. At Best Dental Group, Doctors Economos, Gevalis, and their staff are ready to help you create that perfect look or maintain the one you have now. Along with general dentistry, Best Dental Group is a multidisciplined practice with an orthodontist, periodontist, and prosthetic specialists on site. They use the newest breakthroughs in dental technology, such as titanium implants, Invisalign clear braces, and laser treatments. Don't let fear get in the way. They can recommend sedation to make your experience as comfortable as possible. Best Dental Group is located in historic downtown Bartlett and is a multilingual office. Call 630-830-4930. That's 630-830-4930. Or visit bestdental.org. Best Dental Group, sharing your conservative values and helping you to conserve your teeth.
When your home or business has an insurance claim, the next step is very important. The claim process with insurance can be tedious, hard to understand, and difficult to navigate. You need someone working for you. You need a licensed claim adjuster. Why? The insurance company will send out their inspectors that work for them, get paid by them, and represent them, not you.
This is Dan Lights from Crosscom. We inspect your property, file your claim, negotiate the damages, and maximize your settlement with your insurance company. If we complete the repairs approved by your insurance company, our service is free. Crosscom Public Adjusters has turned denied claims into approved claims. We've also increased insurance claims anywhere from 23 to 1,000%. We are licensed by the Department of Insurance and work in Illinois, Northwest Indiana, and Southern Wisconsin. Crosscom Public Adjusters, 630-871-5500. Online at crosscominc.com. That's crosscominc.com. Crosscom, building trust for over 20 years.
Have you been struggling to find an easy, safe, and secure document scanning solution for Salesforce.com, Microsoft 365, SharePoint, or OnBase by Highland? Your struggle is now over, and it's time to get your documents and operations into the 21st century. With IoT Smart Connected Scanning, it's easy to turn physical paper into digital documents and have them directly uploaded to the cloud with IoT Smart Connected Scanning from IDT. And you don't need a degree in computing or IT to make it happen. Using QR code technology uniquely configured for your specific business, anyone can set the IoT Smart Connected Scanning device up in 5 minutes or less, saving your organization money and valuable time. Remote employees can even capture documents and send them safely and seamlessly. Organize documents efficiently and securely with IoT Smart Connected Scanning from IDT. To see a demo or to order now, go to ready4idt.com. That's ready4idt.com. Use promo code SMART and receive 10% off your order. IDT, putting paper in its place.
When you're serious about your concealed carry training and education and are ready to learn from an active police officer with a teaching degree, check out Illinois Concealed Carry Training in Midlothian. You'll learn safe, responsible firearm use, home defense planning, conflict avoidance, situational awareness, and how to remain physically, morally, and financially safe in the event you must use your firearm in self-defense or the defense of another. Weekday and weekend classes available.
I'm Sergeant Gary Carr, police firearms trainer and the owner of Illinois Concealed Carry Training. We'll arm you with what really counts, knowledge and training. All concealed carry curriculums are not created equal. This may be the single most important decision you'll ever make for yourself and your loved ones. Choose between 3 and 16-hour classes that are available both weekdays and weekends. We are your one-stop for concealed carry classes, fingerprints, and legal defense plans.
Register for a class today and get 10% off class fees with promo code AM560. Visit IllinoisConcealedCarry.com. That's IllinoisConcealedCarry.com.
Portions of the following show may be pre-recorded.
Listen to AM 560 The Answer online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, and on TuneIn, iHeart, and on Odyssey. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560 The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan, and in for Amy this morning. Well. John Cass. JohnCassNews.com.
The lovely John Cass. Think of me coming down a circular stairway at a grand party, and I'm coming down and I'm waving to the crowd. Yeah.
In a sequin gown.
Kind of. Yeah, right.
Sort of
like the way I always roll.
Touching the railing in a sultry fashion as you saunter down the stairs. Yeah, that's beautiful. How are you doing? I mean, I think people want to know. You've been, I wouldn't say AWOL because you're still writing at JohnCassNews.com, but everything's good?
Everything's good. It's been a lot of fun, and especially lately, editing other people's work and realizing that the Chicago media is so poor.
There's lots of opportunity.
Yeah, that I'm thinking, let's start a newspaper.
Yeah, there you go.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely. You look like a new and improved John Cass, too. I noticed, I don't like to comment on these things, but I noticed
you didn't look at my butt.
I noticed you slimmed down a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. What was I? A porky 270 pounds when last we met, and now I'm at like 180. So yeah,
that's a bit.
I'm gonna start 4 rounders a few weeks. Do four rounders and just ease in.
Ease into the old routine.
Maybe I'll have Greg Pratt stand in front of me at the Chicago Tribune Guild and just pound on him for a little bit.
You should have Greg Pratt do a GoFundMe for your news site and get all of his political friends to donate. That's what he does.
I still can't believe that the man who got a GoFundMe page funded by people he covers is allowed to work at the Tribune, but that's how far the mighty has fallen.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the press corps, because there's certainly a party to what we saw yesterday again, which was President Trump, former President Trump, being arraigned on federal charges. And this is what the former president had to say after he was arraigned and released, not in pretrial detention. He released and then, get the hell out of D.C. and go back to Florida. But before he did that, he said this.
Well, thank you very much. This is a very sad day for America, and it was also very sad driving through Washington, D.C. and seeing the filth and the decay and all of the broken buildings and walls and the graffiti. This is not the place that I left. It's a very sad thing to see it. When you look at what's happening, this is a persecution of a political opponent. This was never supposed to happen in America. This is the persecution of the person that's leading by very, very substantial numbers in the Republican primary and leading Biden by a lot. So if you can't beat him, you persecute him or you prosecute him. We can't let this happen in America. Thank you very much, everybody.
If you can't beat him, prosecute him. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line. I also like that not only is this a witch hunt and a persecution, but by the way, DC's a dump. All right, I'll see you.
Did you read that on the press? Did you read that on the teleprompter? Is it on the teleprompter? Because I thought he had strict orders from his lawyers just to follow the teleprompter and not get himself into further trouble with the judge.
I don't think that's any further trouble. I think that's pretty tame by comparison. It's nothing you haven't heard before. I just like by the way, DC's a dump as a kicker on his way out the door.
He should have just said it outright. It's a bleep hole or whatever it says.
We haven't chatted about this latest one at least. So, the critical mass of indictments here. Have we reached peak indictment yet?
It's getting almost ridiculous to the point where you almost get a feeling that they'd use the Constitution to destroy their political enemies.
Yeah. Some people do get that feeling, don't
right?
they? Interesting perspective on this too. I mean, just to get the other side. So I'd like to hear from the other side. You've heard some of the comments from people like noted presidential historian Michael Beschloss this week,
Well, and you also heard the characterization. Everybody is backslapping each other as they're wont to do in these circles. Thanks to the great work of the January 6th Star Chamber,
Right.
everybody at the Capitol on that day was a hero. And of course, the star witnesses in the J6 trial were three former Capitol police officers who testified and served the interests of, the Star Chamber and the Democrats by extension. A couple of their stories have fallen apart a bit, after their testimony, but the press corps, your friends, don't pay much attention to that. This was Michael Fanone. He is one of the more aggressive witnesses and former Capitol officers who was there on January 6th. He's the guy with like the goatee and he's tatted up and he's like supposed to be like a
lot of neck bridges to
Yeah.
show that he's a tough guy.
Yeah, he's a rough and tumble guy.
Yeah.
Here's what he had to say on CNN. Interestingly, not dissimilar from noted presidential historian Michael Beschloss. These elite intellectuals, and then your street ruffian. At least he would like to fashion himself that way, and law enforcement officer.
When I first learned about the indictment, I had a long conversation with a friend of mine, Ryan Riley, and I told him how proud I felt to be an American at that moment, much in the way that I did when I learned that our military had killed Osama bin Laden. I just felt incredibly proud.
These two seem comparable
incredibly
to you?
proud to have been.
I'm sorry, I don't want to cut you off, but why that comparison in particular?
I believe they're comparable.
In what way?
Absolutely. Osama bin Laden was a terrorist who committed a horrific act against American people and against our republic. And I believe that Donald Trump is a terrorist who committed horrific acts against the American people.
This Osama bin Trump.
He sounds just like one of my former editors at the Tribune, who's
Only one of them?
Still can't understand why no one reads the paper because he thinks that they're all warped. All the people who read it are warped.
He thinks people who read his paper are warped.
He couldn't understand why people supported Trump.
Oh, okay, yeah.
He couldn't understand why why anyone would dare use the phrase "the forgotten men," and basically, he led to the demise of a great institution.
Well, I got to tell you, the Osama bin Trump routine that the left is doing. You know what? Go stick with it. Go right at it. If you think that Osama bin Trump, making the comparison Fanone did, Michael Beschloss did this week, I mean, if you think that is going to advance your flag, then have at it. I want more of it because it just shows that it's nothing but personal animus or prosecuting personal ambition. And you think this is a path. The more hysterical, the more over the top you come.
They miss a great opportunity, though. They all should have worn white tie and tails and sang it in some sort of with a piano, to like a ditty, like you'd sing a ditty at a Hollywood party.
You need it to be. You need like a catchy sort of top
like show
40
tune.
hit.
Yeah,
but I mean, this does not. I just say this only serves their interest. The more over the top they come, the more dismissive the unwashed masses are going to be of them.
They haven't captured the idea why people hate them so much, but it's this elite, look down their nose posture that the fellow for the New York Times, Brooks, wrote about this week, a few days ago, and he's looking at the great unwashed for the same reason. They hate them.
Yeah, that's actually at 5:30 a perfect segue. We want to fold in a Biden Incorporated since it's something the D.C. press corps doesn't want to talk about it. But that David Brooks column that you referenced, what if we're the bad guys here?
Yeah.
That's worth poring over in conjunction with the release of the Devin Archer transcript. And, oh, by the way, Dan Goldman, who's really making a name for himself this week, is really prominent in the discussion of the Devin Archer, the transcript of the Devin Archer testimony, because of what he said Devin Archer said that he actually said. We'll start there at 5:38. Now we check the headlines. Thanks, Scott.
5:30. In Chicago, 74 degrees. South Korean police this morning have detained a man suspected of stabbing a high school teacher with a knife in the city of Daejeon. Police and fire did not specify that teacher's health condition. It's notable because the stabbing today follows a separate random attack on Thursday in which 14 people were wounded in South Korea. A not guilty plea from former President Trump at a third arraignment in about 4 months. Fox's Jared Halpern.
The motorcade driving former President Trump entered an underground parking garage about 1.5 miles from the White House and just a few blocks from the U.S. Capitol, two landmarks tied to the charges filed by special counsel Jack Smith. Seated not far from Smith, the former president pleaded not guilty to conspiracy to defraud the U.S., obstruct an official proceeding, and deny voting rights. Prosecutors are asking for a speedy trial. Defense attorneys say the government has had more than 3 years to prepare, and they too will need ample time. A trial date was not set, but could be at the next hearing scheduled for August 28th. In Washington, Jared Halpern, Fox News.
Later in the day, former President Trump said it was a sad day for America.
So if you can't beat him, you persecute him or you prosecute him. We can't let this happen in America.
Speaking from an airport in Virginia, the former president noted he thinks the case is a persecution against a political opponent. 2 U.S. Navy sailors this morning are accused of spying for China. U.S. Attorney Martin Estrada says Petty Officer Wenheng Zhao received $15,000 for sending information to Chinese intelligence officers.
Petty Officer Zhao agreed to transmit and did in fact send sensitive U.S. military information to the intelligence officer working for the People's Republic of China.
Another sailor was also arrested for sending weapons plans to China. Tennessee State Rep Justin Jones and Justin Pearson are back in office after a special election. The Republican-dominated State House expelled the two Democrats after they took part in a riot on the House floor in favor of stronger gun control laws following a shooting that killed 6 at a Christian church and school in Nashville. Lottery players are hoping their luck is good and on their side as they try to win the 4th largest jackpot in Mega Millions history. Top prize has risen to $1.25 billion. A 25-year-old gunman was shot and killed by a Walgreens security guard following an altercation in the South Shore neighborhood Thursday. Chicago police say they responded to that shooting at 71st and Jeffrey. A federal judge is halting Illinois' law targeting crisis pregnancy centers. During a hearing yesterday, the judge swiftly granted a motion for a preliminary injunction immediately halting the measure, which allows the Illinois Attorney General to investigate alleged complaints against centers accused of using misinformation or deceptive practices. Police say 2 illegal immigrants living at a police station in the Grand Crossing district got into a knife fight. Jorge Goyo was charged with aggravated battery after stabbing the other man in the thigh. And 3 Montana women are recovering this morning after a rare attack by an otter. Montana Fish and Wildlife say the trio was floating on inner tubes down the Jefferson River this week when at least one of the animals attacked. One of the women had to be life-flighted to an area hospital once they were rescued out of the water. Cubs edged the Reds 5-3. White Sox lost to the Rangers in Texas 5-3. Bears defense likely getting a little better, signing Pro Bowl free agent defensive end Yannick Ngakoue to a 1-year, $10.5 million deal. He had 9.5 sacks with the Colts last year. The news, a service of Dan and Amy 24/7. Enjoy uninterrupted programming from Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson around the clock, all day, every day. Listen now, Dan and Amy 247.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Dennis Prager sees tough times.
Liberals continue to vote as if everything is normal, and the Republicans are the enemy. No matter what the left does, liberals keep voting left. We're living through a very, very perilous time. Liberals are the problem because they are the ones who put the left in power.
The Dennis Prager Show. Weekdays at 11, right before Charlie Kirk at 1 on AM 560. The Answer.
August 1st, 2023 will long be remembered as a dark day for America. That's when Special Counsel Jack Smith unsealed his latest indictment against former President Trump. It's a miscarriage of justice. Again, the wind has been unleashed and a whirlwind will be reaped. The former president is essentially being indicted for free speech. He's being indicted for objecting to the way the 2020 election was carried out, for maneuvering to keep a job that he believed was his. It really shouldn't matter if you love Trump or if you hate Trump or if you land somewhere in between. I've always disagreed with the former president on this. I've said as much, including to Trump himself. But that is not what the indictment is about. You're allowed to throw Hail Marys in American politics, and Trump's ask of Vice President Pence to put aside the ballots was such a Hail Mary. I'm glad it was incomplete, because it wasn't constitutional. This is simply an attempt to criminalize American politics, and it's a precedent that we cannot unset. It was a very sad day for America.
If your money is not earning at least 5.25% tax deferred, you need to call Professional Life and Casualty. They're offering a 5.25% APY on new funds deposited into your annuity, traditional IRA, or Roth IRA accounts. Rate subject to change. Please call to confirm. With Professional Life and Casualty, you pay no surrender charges, no administrative fees, and no withdrawal fees. Professional Life and Casualty has been providing insurance and annuity products for over 60 years. Visit plcinsurance.com. plcinsurance.com. They'll send you a free guide to tax-deferred, no-fee annuity. Earn 5.25% APY on annuity, traditional IRA, or Roth IRA. Pay no surrender charges, no administrative fees, and no withdrawal fees. Only from Professional Life and Casualty. Call 1-800-651-1800. That's 1-800-651-1800. 1 in 4 car batteries is weak and needs to be replaced. Let the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts test your battery for free. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts today.
On the roads on this Friday morning, the Kennedy Inn at 20 minutes and climbing from O'Hare into the Burn Circle interchange. Also, the Stevenson at 26 from 355 into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. Dan Ryan Express lanes jammed up a bit inbound Pershing to the Chinatown feeder. Jane Addams, they've just cleared an accident out of your way eastbound on I-90 after Elmhurst Road. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast, partly sunny, pleasant, and less humid. High 85 today. Partly cloudy and 68 overnight. The chance of a thunderstorm in spots tomorrow afternoon, high of 86. 73 right now. Next news at 6. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Listen to AM 560 The Answer online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, and on TuneIn, iHeart, and on Odyssey. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan, and our Lollapalooza correspondent, John Cass, in for Amy Jacobson this morning. How was day one? Did you...
It was so good. It was the bag of wine on my hip. Yeah, it was awesome.
Portugal the Man, is that who you went to see?
Madeira? What?
John Cass, JohnCassNews.com is in for Amy Jacobson this morning. And John, fresh off of his interview with Tucker Carlson, which was highly entertaining, and it seemed like it was highly entertaining for Devon Archer as well. Former baby boy Hunter, a business partner, Devon Archer's testimony that he provided to the House Oversight Committee under oath was, the transcript was released yesterday.
Was it an illusion?
Quick turn. Yeah.
Illusion about selling access, or was it the real thing?
I could tell you what's there, but, I'd rather defer to an authority like Catherine Herridge. So you know that the actual representative of the D.C. press corps, even though Catherine Herridge is actually a good reporter, one of the few over at CBS, her description of the contents of the several hundred pages of Devon Archer testimony, the top line, take a listen.
Devon Archer did tell congressional investigators that he felt that this was about the Biden brand, and he testified in his view that Joe Biden had brought the most value to this brand. And he also testified about these speakerphone calls where Hunter Biden would put his father on speaker when he was with business associates. He did not see them discussing business transactions, but he said this was part of a pattern of sending signals about the family's influence and also issues of access.
Signaling.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with this concept of signaling? Having
I've listened to this hoo-ha all my life, coming from the Chicago Press Corps. When the FBI nails somebody, they want to see, did the subject actually say, if you bribe me, then I'll do something for you. If you give me X amount of dollars, $700,000, I will buy those elk heads for you, stuffed elk heads.
Yeah. You have to use the magic words like, I will bribe you, because that's how people talk.
Because if you actually think, that's why they don't understand politics, because if they proceed in that manner, then they won't ever understand politics. If you think you have to write it out, then you're a chumbalone. No one wants to talk to you. If somebody comes up to Mike Madigan or say any other figure and says, I'll do this and that for money, you know what the next step is? The phone is clicked, and they never take your phone call again.
Are you giving me a bribe? Right. Phrases.
But I mean, the
reporters
all they seem to, when they gather in their groups and they want to protect somebody, like they want to protect Joe Biden, then it's always, there's nothing burgers. This is nothing. No one proved anything.
You have to look at this in the way to innocently construe this in a way most favorable to our favorites. That's essentially the point, right?
Perfect.
And Dan Goldman, representative from New York.
He's my favorite now, Dan.
Just a flashback from a couple of days ago. Here was his characterization of what Devon Archer had to say and commentary on it after Archer testified, but before he sat down with Tucker Carlson, before the transcript was released yesterday. And this is one of the reasons I think the transcript was hurried along. Listen to Goldman.
Doesn't that contradict the president's statement saying that he never talked to any of Hunter Biden business associates? Clearly he talked, whether it's about the weather or whatever, but he said specifically that he's never talked to them. Doesn't this contradict him?
I don't know what his comment is, and if we're going to, well, I don't think that's what he said. He never said that he has never spoken to anyone. He said that he had nothing to do with Hunter Biden's business dealings. If he says hello to someone that he sees his son with, is he supposed to say, hi, son? Oh, no, I'm not going to say hello to the other people at the table or the other people on the phone. It's kind of a preposterous premise to think that a father should not say hello to people that the son is at dinner with, and that is literally all the evidence is.
That's all it is, Dan. That's all it is. So if you did that at Gene and Giorgetti, what would happen?
Well, if you didn't say hello, you would be considered impolite. Of course. You know, then you might lose some friends. People would look
Exactly.
askance at you next time you were in the establishment.
No one would buy you another drink.
That's right.
Four blue cheese olives, please.
So that's what Dan Goldman said. And he also said that Devin Archer said about this signaling business, it was just to create the illusion of access, not actual access.
Thank you for my column. He gave me a column like I kept thinking of him as dressed up in fishnet stockings and being the magician's assistant, because it was like the illusion that the canary was killed in the Vanishing Bird Act.
Except there's one problem with that.
The canary's dead.
There's one problem with Dan Goldman's spin on this. Devin Archer didn't say it was to give the illusion of access. Dan Goldman said that.
You'll recall that Democrat Congressman Dan Goldman said that Archer testified that it was the illusion of access to Joe Biden that Hunter Biden was offering to these clients. But in fact, when you look at the transcript, what you see is that that phrase, illusion of access, is in Dan Goldman's question. It's actually not what Devin Archer testified to. He says, yes, but that's not quite fair. This was about showing that there was the signal that there's influence and access here. And Archer goes on to say that there were business meetings that Joe Biden attended, or business meetings, rather, meals with business associates. And what he also said is that after at least one of those meals, money was wired to Hunter Biden that he believed had paid for one of his sports cars. So there's a lot here.
Yeah.
I'll get the check. You buy the sports car.
But they're
How's
both.
that?
What Molly points out is that they're relying on the illiteracy.
Catherine Harris.
Oh, Catherine.
Yeah.
They're relying on the illiteracy of the news reporter. Illusion. Which one is it?
Yeah,
you
right.
morons in the way of
but now
Sean Thompson?
I suppose Dan Goldman would say to that, well, if you're going to say hi and somebody invites you, hey, why don't you sit down and have a bite with us? Well, I mean, I don't want to. Well, no, please, we'll pull up a chair.
Right, exactly.
I mean, you don't, again, want to be discourteous.
You know, if
that's all this is. This is just manners. It's just proper breeding, John.
Be nice. Be friends. Be nice.
Greg,
Have a plate of liver and onions, and let's enjoy lunch together.
Greg in Schaumburg, you're on Chicago's Morning
love
Answer.
Greg.
Morning, Dan. I hate to break something, but do you realize that you have always been recognized as the modern Socrates of our generation? And my God, John Cass, you look like Socrates now, but so hip and so great looking. Way to go, John.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, the tunic helps. Thanks for the call, Greg. Appreciate it. 312-642.
It's an extra large shirt, okay?
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line. Molly Hemingway had a bit of a summation about the Archer testimony, the fact that the big guy broke bread with a Burisma executive at Cafe Milano. That's in the transcript. That Dan Goldman is a terrible liar. That's in the transcript, and Spinmeister, for that matter. Molly Hemingway.
Well, it's a problem not just for the Biden family. It's also a problem for the Department of Justice. It's even a problem for Jack Smith, who was overseeing the Office of Public Corruption at the time that the Biden family business was operating in ways that we have just learned about quite recently. And to see how the Department of Justice worked out this sweetheart deal with Hunter Biden, promising that they wouldn't go after him for any of the crimes or potential crimes that were involved if in this plea agreement that was recently blown up by that judge, that makes the Department of Justice look really bad, particularly because they're doing everything to go out of their way to attack their primary legal opponent. But it does answer some questions. People have been wondering, how did the Biden family make tens of millions of dollars through Joe Biden's lifetime of public service? Well, I think we got a pretty good indication of exactly how that operation ran, and it does not look good to a lot of people.
You have dinners with the right people and opportunities open up. You know what I mean, John?
If there's any reason, any wonder why we hate these people, it's because of this. Look, I want to see the media do its job. Any newspaper, here's a scoop. Track Joe Biden's career with the amount of properties, lakefront properties that he's purchased or oceanfront properties he's purchased on a government salary. Why can't they do that? Can they figure that? Is it because he was a best-selling author of how to plagiarize your campaign or something?
Yeah, well, I mean, right.
Come on.
It's probably going to be a little bit more complicated than that because I assume that the Bidens employ people that are a lot smarter than them when it comes to these schemes, particularly hiding money. I mean, you heard or you read in that FBI document from that FBI source that the quote attributed to the Ukrainian oligarch that heads up Burisma.
Dumber than my dog?
No, that the $5 million and it's untraceable. Essentially, that's what he said, right?
It's in the wind, yeah.
Maybe it's crypto, maybe it's some other complicated delivery of riches, gold doubloons. I don't know, but regardless, Hemingway's point, not just about their personal enrichment, because I think there's I think the public is jaded about that to a certain extent. But maybe even resigned to the fact that politicians leverage their political office for personal enrichment. But the other part of it, what she said, this doesn't just make Biden Incorporated look bad. It makes the Justice Department look bad, including their lead attack dog on Trump, Jack Smith. That's a key point because they're continuing to undermine these institutions while protesting that anyone that has any questions about their conduct is undermining those institutions. George in Naperville, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Yeah, Dan?
Yep, go ahead.
Yeah, it's just like the Wizard of Oz. Pay no attention to that man on the other end of the phone line. That's just Daddy. He has no influence.
Thanks for the call, George. Dad, yeah, meet my friends. David Brooks mentioned it before Mike Scott's newscast.
Oh, God.
David Brooks, Obama's favorite, quote-unquote, Republican, which is to say Democrat.
Worked in Chicago for City News Bureau and learned nothing about the regular people who live here.
He mentioned that when I began my journalism career in Chicago in the 1980s, there were still some old, crusty, working-class guys around the newsroom. He's talking about you.
Old and crusty? Yes. Definitely, Dave. But those are the old and crusty guys who should have kicked him in the ass every day of his life.
You know what's funny about this piece, and it'll reveal itself as we discuss it. It reminds me very much of the sort of David Remnick and other luminaries in the D.C. press corps, what they wrote after the 2016 Trump victory about it's time to get out in the hustings and meet these people. We need to ask ourselves how thick is our bubble. This is a period of self-reflection. Right. How can we better represent the interests of people who feel like they're being left behind and so on and so forth?
So and that Eric Zorn could have written that piece 100 times. It doesn't matter. They can't find the forest for their own navel.
That lasted
it's right in front of them.
Yeah, well, that period of self-reflection lasted about 10 days.
When the New York Times, Dean Baquet, another former Chicago Tribune guy, said, "We've made a mistake. We have to figure this out." It lasted about I think 4 or 5 days.
Right, and then it was on to Russian collusion. Forget that self-reflection thing. Let's figure out how to get this guy.
Bring us the head of Tom Cotton. Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's that too.
Right.
Well, so this is now foreshadowing maybe of 2024. Maybe David Brooks is a little worried about a repeat. Maybe he should be. He starts off by the piece is entitled "What If We're the Bad Guys," and he starts off by telling the story that they tell each other. The they, of course, are the sort of the coastal ruling elite types that are in charge of all these institutions. And by the way, that is in part, I hasten to add, very few people do, that is in part the fault of the unwashed masses.
Is it told in the voice of old Nan from Game of Thrones who talks about the White Walkers?
No, he's too much of a pantywaist to pull that off. Here's what they say. Here's what we say, as David Brooks writes. We anti-Trumpers often tell a story to explain why Donald Trump still exists. It was encapsulated in a quote the University of Carolina political scientist Mark Hetherington gave to my colleague Thomas Edsall recently. By the way, you could stop there.
By the way they spell their name?
No, just by we tell a story encapsulated by a poli-sci professor in North Carolina who told my journalism buddy.
The only thing missing from this ridiculous piece by David Brooks is an italic precede in French that should lead the article, because that's when you take the reporter out and shoot them in the back of the newsroom.
Yes. All right, so here's the story they tell each other.
Yep.
He's quoting Brooks, who's quoting his friends. Right. Republicans see a world changing around them uncomfortably fast, and they want it to slow down, maybe even take a step backward. But if you're a person of color, a woman who values gender equality, or an LGBT person, would you want to go back to 1963? I doubt it. That's what they think is happening. That's where they think this Trump support comes from. Republicans who want to go back to 1963. It is completely baseless, but okay. I mean, just that's what they say is the story they tell each other. So I'll stipulate to it. Brooks goes on to say, in this story, we anti-Trumpers are the good guys, the forces of progress and enlightenment. The Trumpers are reactionary bigots and authoritarians. Many Republicans support Trump no matter what, according to this story, because at the end of the day, he's still the bigot in chief, the embodiment of their resentments, and that's what matters most to them. Brooks writes, I partly agree with the story, but it's also a monument to elite self-satisfaction. Of course, the Solomonic Brooks, there's some truth to it, but then we also need to accept our own shortcomings in this conversation.
Here's the problem with all that.
While he's trying to appeal to me and you, he's doing the exact thing that makes him noxious to me and you.
If he would only understand that at the end of this argument, there's a David Brooks running around in circles screaming to protect his head from the Aboriginals who are going to pounce on it and smash it with a stone hammer, right? He doesn't understand this. And it's sad and pathetic, but that's the way they are. All you have to do is go. I wrote about it last week. All you have to do is, or this week, go back over the coverage of the Washington Press Corps' Gridiron Dinner, or let them watch them sing the Whiff and Poof song or whatever the hell they sing to each other, and realize how badly and how much they are hated.
David Brooks, I mean, to put this in some context, particularly as you mentioned French, so David Brooks will understand that.
Of course.
He is the Duke of Orleans in the French Revolution, Louis Philippe. Philippe Égalité, David Brooks. And you know how it ended for Philippe Égalité after he underwrote Robespierre and the Jacobins?
Yeah.
That's what David Brooks fears. You're exactly right.
It's going to happen to him.
Just
and there'll be many John Casses and Dan Profts that they will throw in the mob's way to protect. Burn them. Burn these people first. Burn them.
David Brooks is going to be holding up this column when they come for him. Wait, look at this. I said nice things.
I was on your side. You're like Rick Moranis in Ghostbusters 3 or something. Like, come on, we're all lawyers. Can't give me a break.
Len in Highland Park. Quickly, Len.
I got a quick loop coming up. I don't know if the Democrats are upset about. They created Trump.
Yeah.
They created the mindless followers like me of Trump because they're so incompetent, and he's the only alternative. And if it wasn't for them, Trump wouldn't be Trump. And I was as quick as I could be. Thanks.
Thanks, Len. Get back on the course. All right, get out there. All right, coming up at 6:06, we will continue our conversation, conversation on this topic, because excerpt from that Tucker interview of the Capitol Police Chief there on January 6th has been released. The interview that Fox News wouldn't air, or Tucker couldn't air before he got fired. We'll start there, 6:06. Now we check the headlines with Mike Scott.
A judge halts Illinois' attack on pro-life crisis pregnancy centers. The opening of a temporary Chicago casino is pushed back. 2 are killed in a wrong-way crash in Villa Park. White Sox fall to the Rangers. Cubs beat the Reds. And WIND Chicago News Time is 6 o'clock.
August 28th. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. That's the next court hearing in the third Trump criminal case. Fox's Jared Halpern was at the arraignment.
Hundreds of onlookers lined the sidewalks surrounding the federal courthouse, some with flags supporting former President Trump, some without.
Lock him up! Lock him up!
Sitting just about 20 feet from special counsel Jack Smith, the 45th president entered not guilty pleas on 4 counts connected to allegations of trying to overturn the 2020 election. Before flying back to New Jersey, former President Trump told reporters it was a sad day.
So if you can't beat him, you persecute him or you prosecute him. We can't let this happen in America.
A judge released Trump with conditions ordering him not to speak about the case with those who could be called as witnesses.
Ukraine apparently went on the attack. At a Black Sea port, key for Russian exports, armed drones damaged a Russian ship, though Russia says it shot down many more. 2 U.S. Navy sailors under arrest in California accused of spying for China, sending it military information.
One more example of the People Republic of China's ongoing and brazen campaign to target U.S. officials with access to sensitive military secrets.
U.S. Attorney Martin Estrada. Robert Bowers will live on federal death row after a judge sentenced the mass killer to die for the 2018 massacre at the Tree of Life Synagogue in Pittsburgh, where Bowers targeted Jews, killed 11 worshipers. So some night in the future, he'll be lying on a gurney like James Barnes last night in Florida.
Barnes remained silent when he was asked if he had any last words. He closed his eyes as the lethal injection began and was pronounced dead 10 minutes later.
Barnes was already in prison for killing his wife.
When in 2005, he wrote to Florida state prosecutors and confessed to the murder of Patricia Miller 17 years earlier. A nurse he said he raped and then beat to death with a hammer.
That's Fox's Jack Callahan. America's listening to Fox.
73 degrees at 6:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. A 25-year-old gunman was shot and killed by a Walgreens security guard. It followed an altercation in the South Shore neighborhood Thursday evening between 2 men on the street. Federal judge is halting Illinois' law that targets crisis pregnancy centers. During a hearing yesterday, the judge swiftly granted a motion for a preliminary injunction seeking to halt immediately the measure, which allows Illinois Attorney General Kwame Raoul to investigate alleged complaints against those centers accused of using misinformation and deceptive practices. Authorities have identified a man fatally shot during an armed robbery at a gas station in Lansing. It happened Thursday morning, and the ME's office then identified that man as 53-year-old Cameron Webster Sr. Loved ones say the fatal shooting victim worked as a security guard. Lansing Police Chief Alfred Phillips.
They've got a lot of cameras in many different angles, so try and put people at ease a little bit here. They're well lit up at night. Our officers are in the area constantly throughout the evening.
South Suburban Major Crimes Task Force is assisting with the investigation. A Chicago man is accused of robbing 6 women in Lincoln Park and is scheduled to appear in bond court. Tony Davis was charged with 8 felonies, including aggravated battery and robbery. Police say he was one of the offenders who participated in the robberies on July 4. Oak Park officials are changing their mind about demolishing their village hall. They now plan to renovate the existing 50-year-old building. Village President Vicky Skaman pledged the board will focus on renovation and hire a preservation consultant. Now, Cubs edge the Reds 5-3 to take their series at Wrigley. Chicago now just 2.5 back of Milwaukee for first place in the NL Central. White Sox lost to the Rangers. The Bears signed free agent defensive end Yannick Ngakoue to a 1-year, $10.5 million contract. He had 9.5 sacks last year with Indianapolis. And the Pac-12 is getting smaller by the hour. The athletic conference is about to lose the University of Arizona to the Big Ten after leaving. University of Arizona is close to leaving the conference for the Big 12 after 2 more schools left for the Big Ten yesterday. The Big 12 has approved the Wildcats application to join the conference as soon as today. The news, a service of In Grace with Jim Scudder Jr. Now heard Sunday morning at 6:30 on AM 560. And a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Charlie Kirk says the left is playing for keeps.
These are extra-constitutional organizations, efforts underway to stop you from having a voice. They detest you. They hate you. You're a Christian, if you're a plumber, if you work with your hands, if you're an ordinary American, they hate your values. They hate everything you stand for, and they are playing for keeps. The 2024 election, they are playing for keeps.
The Charlie Kirk Show. Afternoons at 1, right before Sebastian Gorka at 3 on AM 560. The Answer.
There are more identity threats than you realize. Even if you monitor your credit, only a little personal info needs to leak out, like your social security number or password,
for you to become a victim.
LifeLock alerts you to threats you could miss. If your identity is stolen, a dedicated U.S.-based restoration specialist will work to fix it. No one can prevent all identity theft or monitor all transactions, but everyone can save up to 25% off their first year with promo code NEWS. Go to lifelock.com.
Hi, I'm Martha Stewart. Every year, more than 4 million pets enter shelters here in the United States. My friends at American Humane have been helping animals since 1877. The goal is to ensure that pets have a safe shelter, especially during natural disasters. Adopting a shelter pet allows shelters to help more animals awaiting care. Please consider adopting today and take some time to learn more about American Humane's other work at americanhumane.org.
Hey Chicago, do you like great seats? How about on-field pregame access? What if it was free? Now we got your attention. We are proud to bring you the Wintrust Crosstown Series. Whether you're a Cubs or Sox fan, Wintrust wants you to have an unforgettable fan experience. Enter the Wintrust Crosstown Series sweepstakes for your chance to win great seats and pregame on-field access. Go to wintrust.com/crosstown. Chicago's Bank, getting Chicago's fans to the game. Banking products provided by Wintrust Financial Corp. Banks. See official rules at wintrust.com/crosstown-rules. Member FDIC.
As a local business owner, you get called every week by marketing companies. We get it. We have hundreds of satisfied customers. Here's what a satisfied client recently said.
Open enrollment is going great. We're hitting record numbers. Thank you so much for this report. It really is amazing to see how the marketing is really shaping our enrollment around the city.
If you're a local business and ready for the next step, visit surroundchicago.com right now. Our experts are ready to help you take your marketing to the next level. Visit surroundchicago.com today.
Retirement planning can be complicated. From asset and legacy protection to retirement income and extended care, you need a plan. Tune in to Retirement and Income Radio, hosted by well-known Chicagoland financial educator Mark Kohler. Mark helps listeners in or near retirement protect their savings from market volatility while creating lifetime guaranteed income. Listen to Retirement and Income Radio Sunday afternoons at 3:30 on AM 560 The Answer, or call Mark now at 844-619-SAFE.
Raj Shah, host of Unleash Your Wealth.
You know, there are a lot of clients and people coming in from the radio into our office and saying, I don't want to lose any money. I need to protect the money I have saved over the last 20 or 30 years, where you have strategies where you can structure an income stream where it has an inflation protection so that as inflation, if it continues to go up, your income will go up.
Unleash Your Wealth, Saturday at 7 a.m. and 2 p.m. on AM 560, The Answer.
6:08, let's get an update on the roads. We do that, of course, in the Team Hochberg Traffic Center. Inbound Kennedy, right now setting up at 25 minutes, O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. Stevenson, 30 minutes from 355 into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. Dan Ryan inbound jammed up between Cermak and 18th, 15 minutes. 95th into the Burns Circle interchange. Tri-State jamming up northbound right at I-88, the Reagan Memorial Toll Road. And things are a little slow this morning as you roll in and around Grant Park for that giant music festival that has roads like Jackson, Columbus, and Balboa closed down. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with our meteorologist, Steve Williams.
Partial sun, beautiful day. Look for a high today of 84. Partly cloudy tonight, low 67. Clouds and sun, thunderstorm for tomorrow, the high 86. Cloudy and humid, strong thunderstorm on Sunday. Downpours are possible, isolated tornado, the high 84. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
73 at O'Hare, 75 Lakefront. Next news 6:30, and Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Listen to AM 560 The Answer online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, and on TuneIn, iHeart, and on Odyssey. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560 The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and John Cass in for Amy J this morning. JohnCassNews.com. Good morning, John. Great to have you back. We ended last hour talking about this David Brooks piece in the New York Times where he tells you what the Never Trumpers narrative about Trump supporters is. And he then suggests that there's truth to it, but also it is too self-satisfying for elites to be so dismissive of Trump supporters. And he wants to think through it again. And it's really rather quotidian, his thinking through this, which is generous. Which is, I mean, that's consistent for David Brooks' piece. He just goes through this typical thing. Here's basically the summation of David Brooks's and people like him, of his view of Trump supporters. Their view, collective view of Trump supporters. If you had a good job and were making as much money as I am, you'd think exactly like me and we wouldn't have any problems. That's what he's saying. Because it's all about left behind and the institutions, and Biden won 500 counties that are responsible for 71% of the American economy, where Trump won 2,500 counties responsible for 29% of the economy. It's all economic man. And it, of course, starts from two faulty premises. One is that we're just economic men and women. And number two, that only those in the lower quintiles of the economy support Trump. Or voted for him in 2016, voted for him in 2010, support him now, or certainly would support him if he was the nominee against Joe Biden or Gavin Newsom or whoever else. But this is their cartoonish understanding of, I don't know, I guess by last count, 73 million people. If only you made as much money as I did, if only you got to go to an Ivy League school and then a white shoe law firm or a big consultancy, or you were writing for the New York Times, we would all think alike, there'd be no friction, and there'd be no Donald Trump. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 64636-DA, turnkey.pro text line. And then he ends the piece after his generous contemplation of the plight of the Trump voter. Are Trump supporters right that the indictments are just a political witch hunt? Of course not. As a card-carrying member of my class, I still basically trust the legal system and the neutral arbiters of justice. Isn't he cute? Trump is a monster in the way we've all been saying for years and deserves to go to prison.
Wow.
But
thinking differently than you.
Right, and here's the tell, if it isn't obvious. I mean, he just beats you over the head with it unknowingly, of course. Unwittingly, he does. The larger context he closes the piece with, he references sociologist Digby Baltzell. As he wrote decades ago, history is a graveyard of classes which have preferred caste privileges to leadership.
Blah, blah, blah.
That is the destiny our class is now flirting with, writes Brooks. We can condemn the Trumpian populace until the cows come home, but the real question is, when will we stop behaving in ways that make Trumpism inevitable? And this is supposed to be his accounting for the rise of Trumpism. He's sort of like, I bear some of the responsibility. Let me offer my apologies.
One of your favorite writers is Flannery O'Connor, am I not mistaken?
Yes.
And Flannery O'Connor, in her short story, A Good Man is Hard to Find, involved a misfit and murderer named the Misfit. And the grandmother gets basically killed. I don't want to ruin it, but she gets shot at the end. And the Misfit says she would have been a good woman if someone was there to shoot her every day of her life. And I'm thinking that of David Brooks. David, can you please go find the Misfit for me and drive through the Smoky Mountains and enjoy yourself?
This is what, I guess we're on the cusp of 8 years of this.
Right.
And they still haven't learned a thing. They don't want to learn anything, or they don't want to admit what they may know to be true. I mean,
that they're hateful people and that the people hate them with good reason? No, they don't want to admit that. They can't see it. They can see, the blind spot is everywhere, evident, and they just can't see it. They can't see through it.
You know what's funny is the men of and women of data and science, really? And this is their understanding of the electoral distribution of support for Trump versus not Trump. And yet, what is the greatest predictor of party affiliation? Don't say gender.
What is it?
Marriage.
Something radical like that, yeah.
The GOP advantage among married men is 20 points. Among unmarried men, it's 7. The married women, Republicans have a 14-point advantage. Married women, 14-point advantage. Who is keeping Democrats competitive? Well, if you're winning married men and you're winning married women, can you solve that riddle? So you can look at, you can cut up the electorate a lot of different ways across a lot of different demographics, but I just find that so interesting because one of the things that these elites do, per Charles Murray, in Coming Apart, they don't preach what they practice. They practice marriage. Maybe multiple times in some cases, but they practice marriage, generally speaking, and raising kids in a traditional family environment. For the most part, they decry it. And they say, well, the problem is that Republicans or conservatives or Trump voters want to go back to 1963. That's really a racial slur is what that is. Like we want to go back to Jim Crow in the South or something like that. It's so absurd, but that's all they have is these ad hominem attacks. But
they give people have to, no place to stand.
Well, they have to cover their tracks. They have to explain why they're so smart and they control everything, but everything is disintegrating on their watch, at their hands. Well, it can't be their fault. And it can't be the fault of those who aspire to be them. And it can't be the fault of the marginalized communities that they have adopted as mascots, because that's a constituency they have to have in order to maintain control of these institutions. So, who's the obvious boogeyman? Married, largely white Christians, but really just married Christians and people of faith, really.
And they must be hounded.
Mike in Littleton, Colorado, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hey, good morning, and thank you for taking my call. It dawns on me that, the electorate is kind of evenly split. And, just speaking for myself personally, I see our side, we go out of our way to not lose any of their votes or piss off, the Democrat voters, whereas the Democrats, they don't give a damn about our side, and they go out of their way to ensure that they shore up their base. And I think it produces two things. it produces fervor on their side to participate, no matter how ridiculous the premises, right? Men can have babies et al. And on our side, it really produces disillusionment to drop out. So, like, they're getting more involved, and our people just don't get excited, I don't think. And that disparity really hurts us.
Yeah, there's definitely something to that. There's definitely something to that. They put us back on defense, many of us on defense, with their ad hominem. Well, you just can't allow it.
The shrieks are bloodthirsty, but they don't care because those shrieks and the blood help them in the end.
Yeah, I mean, it really is. It's a witch hunt. They are looking for witches,
Right.
and when they don't find them, they will characterize those they do find that are not with them as witches.
Look, is anyone within the WIND listening audience who pays for news media, that has been proven over the decades to slap them in the face deserves to be slapped in the face? That's what's happening.
As Trump supporters write the indictment's just a political witch hunt? Of course not. I still basically trust the legal system and the neutral arbiters of justice, writes David Brooks. Well, that brings us to this additional context on January 6th. This interview that Tucker Carlson did with the Capitol Police Chief on that day, his name is Stephen Sund. He referenced this interview when he was on, did Tucker Carlson when he was on with Russell Brand a couple weeks ago. But now the National Pulse has obtained it through someone, maybe a whistleblower inside of Fox. It seems to be what it is. And they're releasing clips. Here's a clip. Tucker Carlson interview of former Capitol Police Chief Stephen Sund about the nature of what happened on that day.
So-called intelligence community or military, Pentagon. It's not fair. So can you just go back to the role of, you said 9 out of the 18 agencies in the so-called intelligence community are military. Pentagon supervised their military intel. Would they have been gathering, it sounds like they were gathering information about January 6th before it happened?
Well, again, for Milley and Miller to be that concerned about January 6th in advance, they had to be getting the intelligence from somewhere. I mean, talk about locking down Washington, that's a huge undertaking. And again, to never notify me. But when you begin to sit there and wonder about...
So you believe that they were gathering intelligence? I mean, they were...
For them to think that they're getting...
So there was, and I'm asking this because there was a very weird moment in the January 6th committee interviews. And they interviewed a man who was caught on camera by a lot of people encouraging law-breaking, encouraging people to run into the Capitol, to break the law. The implication was to commit violence. He has never been arrested or charged with anything. And that's just very, very strange. People, over 1,000 people have been charged, but he has not been. And so the committee released a statement saying, we are positive he was not working with law enforcement. It seems you'd have to be an idiot not to assume he was working with somebody. Why haven't they arrested him? I mean, come on, right? So my thought was, well, they didn't mention military intelligence. This guy's a veteran.
Yes.
Am I being crazy and wondering this?
No, you're not. I actually write about that person in the book. It raises concern for me, his involvement, and the fact that we haven't learned more. Matter of fact, I think the January 6th committee thanked him for his candor.
Yeah, talk about Ray Epps, of course, this enigmatic
But they're not
figure.
mentioning his name.
Well, yeah, okay. But, I mean, the point here is there's all sorts of questions about January 6th that go completely unanswered, and you're not allowed to ask them.
Or think them.
And so you're not allowed to ask, even when you have the police chief, Capitol Police, saying, essentially, I was cut out of the intelligence sharing, even though my guys were on the front line. I was cut out of the intelligence sharing by Milley and Miller. Miller was the acting SecDef at the time. As I've mentioned many times before in the show, what did the sergeants at arms in the respective houses communicate to Pelosi and McConnell, and who was communicating to them, and what was communicated to them from intel or law enforcement? We don't know. We don't know anything. And Chris Wray, when he testifies before House or Senate committees, about FBI presence on that day. You're just supposed to accept. He said, I have no idea. I don't know. Most recently, 2.5 years later, I don't know if we had any people, if we did, if maybe we did. Was it more than one? I don't know how many. And all I can tell you is that everybody acted heroically, that I say acted heroically. And the only other thing I can tell you is that, of course, the FBI did not participate in fomenting any of the rioting or violence that occurred on that day. And you're just supposed to take that at face value. This is an example of what I'm talking about.
Director Wray, does the FBI have confidential human sources? Did the FBI have confidential human sources embedded within the January 6th protesters on January 6th of 2021?
Well, Congressman, as I'm sure you can appreciate, I have to be very careful about what I can say about when.
Even now, because that's what you told us 2 years ago.
May I finish? About when we do and do not, and where we have and have not used confidential human sources. But to the extent that there's a suggestion, for example, that the FBI's confidential human sources or FBI employees in some way instigated or orchestrated January 6th, that's categorically false.
Did you have confidential human sources dressed as Trump supporters inside the Capitol on January the 6th prior to the doors being open?
Again, I had to be very careful.
It should be a no. Can you not tell the American people, no, we did not have confidential human sources dressed as Trump supporters positioned inside the Capitol?
Gentleman's time has expired.
You should not read anything into my decision not to share information.
Director Wray,
confidential human
gentleman's time has expired.
Of course. Don't read anything into it.
Shush. Don't say anything.
The only thing you're allowed to read into it is I'm a patriot, and the people I say are patriots, and the people I say are traitors, and we're doing our job every day, putting our lives on the line for fellow patriots by going after Trump-inspired traitors. I mean, that's the implication. Okay, that's it. All right, the gentleman's time is up. Maybe the gentleman's time who's up in 14 months is going to be people like gentlemen like Christopher Wray. One can hope, because the answers that he gives are unacceptable and they're indefensible.
The question is, which one of them, Trump or the governor of Florida, be the one to get rid of them and exact some sort of punishment upon them? Because that's what the people want now. They've gone through all this again and again, and now they're primed, and they want the bloody head paraded before the tribe. They want it held up by the hair.
There's something else about this whole January 6th business, and of course that implicates the indictment this week.
Yeah.
And the arraignment yesterday. This conspiracy business. We'll talk about it with Andy McCarthy at the top of the 7 o'clock hour. This was a conspiracy that was done in full public view, quote unquote conspiracy done in full public view. Not on the government side. I'm talking about on the so-called conspirator side. We debated all of these issues in the aftermath of the election. The alternative slates of electors, what Mike Pence could and couldn't do consistent with the Constitution. We were debating all this in real time as it was happening,
publicly,
as arguments were being made, as suggestions were being offered. And so what? Because you say Trump didn't really believe that the election was rigged or stolen and acted in furtherance of what he didn't believe through courts of law, through state legislatures, through public testimony and legal arguments, however unpersuasive, that's what they were. That's a conspiracy to defraud the American people. It's a conspiracy to deprive them of their vote and the right of their vote to be counted. Who's engaged in a conspiracy that is outside of public view? Is it Trump and the unindicted co-conspirators named in the indictment? Or, I mean, literally, or is it people like Christopher Wray? Jim in Crown Point, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
You know, I do want to go back. I want to go back to the times when
schools had standards. You could call a woman, a man, a man. Politicians didn't make millions of dollars, and we talked in millions instead of billions and trillions.
Thanks for the call, Jim.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer.
Your show keeps me alive during the week. There's nobody I'd rather listen to between 5 and 9 in the morning than you guys.
On AM 560, The Answer.
When you're in the market to buy or sell a home, commercial property, or even vacant land, let attorney Susan J. Kim step in. She's reliable, responsive, personable, and extremely thorough when helping you deal with an otherwise stressful transaction. Attorney Kim leads with her values and is committed to providing legal services with excellence. To contact Attorney Kim, visit sjkimlaw.com. That's sjkimlaw.com. Whether it's drafting agreements, negotiating contract terms, or closing on a property, Attorney Susan J. Kim can do it all. Over 10 years of experience and her wealth of knowledge tackling complicated legal negotiations and breaking them down into a smooth, easy-to-understand process is what she does best. So let Attorney Susan J. Kim step in. To schedule your legal consultation today, visit sjkimlaw.com. That's sjkimlaw.com or call 847-906-3166. Susan J. Kim Attorney at Law is a state of Illinois licensed real estate attorney.
Balance of Nature, changing the world one life at a time.
I think it's just a really good idea simply because I have such a busy schedule that I can't always take care of all of my nutritional needs in the proper ways. I really like it. It's quite nice. I would say that I have more energy. I'm sleeping really well. With my schedule, I don't get quite enough sleep sometimes. And when that happens, I still can manage to have a normal day the following day. So I'm pretty well pleased with it.
Start your journey to better health with Balance of Nature. This week only, we're extending our special travel offer. Right now, get $25 off your first order as a preferred customer, plus a free fruits and veggies travel set with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Call 1-800-246-8751. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code Chicago.
AM 560, The Answer.
Coming up at 6:36, and nice segue provided to us by Jim from Crown Point. I want to go back to a time when McHenry Community College didn't have a class called Talking Dirty. Latest edition of Campus Beat at 6:36. Now we turn it over to Mike Scott.
6:32, 73 degrees. And right now we're tracking developments in Ukraine where drones have attacked a major Russian port on the Black Sea, damaging naval ships. According to Ukrainian officials who spoke on the condition of anonymity, it's the latest series of strikes inside Russia, bringing the fight to Vladimir Putin. Former President Trump says it is a sad day for America.
So if you can't beat him, you persecute him or you prosecute him. We can't let this happen in America.
He made those comments Thursday after pleading not guilty to criminal charges, all connected to the alleged efforts to overturn the 2020 presidential election. And former President Trump's attorney is tearing into the latest federal indictment.
President Trump will continue to fight, not for him, but for the American people.
Outside a courthouse where he was arraigned Thursday, Alina Habba called the indictment election interference. U.S. health officials are recommending that babies get a recently approved drug protecting them against a respiratory virus. An infection with RSV is a cold-like nuisance for most healthy people, but can be life-threatening for the very young. A 25-year-old gunman was shot and killed by a Walgreens security guard following an altercation in the South Shore neighborhood at 71st and Jeffrey Thursday evening. Federal judge is halting Illinois' law targeting crisis pregnancy centers. During a hearing yesterday, the judge swiftly granted a motion for a preliminary injunction seeking to immediately halt the measure favored by Governor J.B. Pritzker, which allows Illinois' Attorney General to investigate alleged complaints against centers, accusing them of misinformation or deceptive practices. A Chicago man accused of robbing 6 women in Lincoln Park is scheduled to appear in bond court. Tony Davis was charged with 8 felonies, including aggravated battery and robbery. Police say he was one of the defendants who participated in the robberies on July 4. Cubs edge the Reds 5-3 to take their series at Wrigley Field. Jameson Taillon gets the win. White Sox lost to the Rangers 5-3. The NFL is back last night. Browns stormed back from a 9-point halftime deficit to beat the Jets 21-16. Fall camp is underway for the Fighting Illini. The squad kicked off practice last night. The news service of MyPillow. MyPillow employees want to thank you by giving you the lowest price in history on their MyPillows. Now, only $19.98 with promo code LIBERTY. A check of traffic and weather is on the way next on AM 560.
Brandon Tatum says stand your ground.
People on our side need a reality check too. You gotta stop jumping on the bandwagon. And you gotta stop being so fickle. Don't jump ship and say, oh man, look at him, all this other stuff. Hold true to what your initial conviction is unless it's been proven otherwise.
The Officer Tatum Show. Weeknights at 7, right before Jay Sekulow at 9 on AM 560. The Answer.
You've decided to remodel your kitchen or bathroom. Okay, the search is on. Who can you trust to give you a great remodel at a fair price?
I ask that you would give us a chance to work with you to have a quality, stress-free kitchen or bath remodel. This is Javen Aldana. My company is Aldana & Son. That's right, we're a family business and we share the same values as you. I am deeply involved in every aspect of your remodel. Realtors love our company too. They know we can get it done as soon as possible and make it fabulous. A happy customer is the only way we do business. You want referrals and reviews? No problem. We stand by our work. We take it personally. Kitchen or bathroom remodels, small or large, we have you covered. Go to remodelingforme.com. That's remodelingforme.com. Aldana & Son. Just under 25 years of happy customers. Let's make you the next one. Go to remodelingforme.com. That's remodelingforme.com.
Balance of Nature's fruits and vegetables in a capsule, changing the world one life at a time.
I'm a very, very skeptical person, so I think even if it had started working sooner, I was like, no, it can't be just Balance of Nature. Till I finally gave in and said, you know what? I think it's the Balance of Nature. So somebody will say, oh, I noticed this, or you look really good today, or you such and such, and I go, I know, it's the Balance of Nature. I have fingernails that I've never had before. They're long and they're strong and they're wow.
Start your journey to better health with Balance of Nature. This week only, we're extending our special travel offer. Right now, get $25 off your first order as a preferred customer, plus a free fruits and veggies travel set with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Call 1-800-246-8751. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
Do you know the number one complaint homeowners have about remodeling? How long it takes. Rick here from Forever Remodeling. Home remodels that were supposed to take weeks often stretch out to months or even up to a year. That's because many remodelers bite off more than they can chew. They take on too many jobs, they get spread too thin, and you end up frustrated, waiting an eternity for your project to get done. Call Forever Remodeling instead. From start to finish, we show your remodel the attention it deserves. We limit the number of jobs we do at one time. This lets us dedicate ourselves to getting your project done on schedule while delivering a result that's better than you imagined. For a free consultation, call Forever Remodeling at 847-809-3355 or visit foreverremodeling.com. We do kitchens, baths, basements, additions, and more. That's the number 4everremodeling.com.
6:39. Let's get a quick update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center is a service of Dairy Queen. Hey, DQ fans, the Caramel Fudge Cheesecake Blizzard treat has arrived. It's so wonderful that you won't want to miss out. Indulge your cheesecake cravings. Try today only at DQ, where happy tastes good. Kennedy inbound, 38 minutes. O'Hare to the Burns Circle interchange. Stevenson, 40 minutes from 355 into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. Lakeshore Drive itself jams up northbound Irving Park to Montrose. And at 6:40, it's time to visit signaturebank.bank in time to check the weather forecast, your official Chicagoland weather forecast in the AM 560 Weather Center. Right now we're seeing partly sunny skies, pleasant and less humid, high 85. Partly cloudy and 68 overnight. Humid, clouds and sunshine with a thunderstorm in spots by the afternoon tomorrow, high 86. 73 right now. Next news coming up at 7. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560 The Answer.
Listen to AM 560 The Answer online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, and on TuneIn, iHeart, and on Odyssey. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson.
'Cause they got the beat, the campus beat, the campus beat. Yeah, the campus beat.
Top of the morning, Dan and JohnCassNews.com's John Cass.
The lovely John Cass.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah. Looking
Come
very
on.
looking very grizzly this morning.
Grizzly Adams because of the beard.
Oh.
Well,
Very
I
Jeremiah Johnson.
I couldn't. I didn't think I could grow a beard. I didn't think I was manly enough to grow a beard. And look at it.
You're Greek.
Look at it. I got back hair too.
You're mythological in stature. All right. On this edition of Campus Beat, I don't like this. I don't like McHenry County Community College horning in on Northwestern's action.
Oh, the saw. The saw.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
McHenry County College, open enrollment, community college, is offering a Talking Dirty dual credit course on sex.
Okay.
The course begins the semester discussing foreplay. I'll explain to you what that is later, John. And later addresses topics such as genital cutting, abortion, BDSM, porn, prostitution, and much, much more.
Wait, I lost at cutting. I sort of
Genital
zonked
cutting?
out.
Yeah. I don't. Somebody's going to have to explain that to me. Is that mean circumcision,
Is
or
that
does
fun?
that mean something more perverse?
Do you have any lemon juice you could squeeze on that? Yeah.
The course flyer, which displays a provocative photo of a half-naked couple kissing. I hope they're trans. Yes, this class is all about sex. What's not to like? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line.
At this point, Betty Cass and Jimmy Benakis and all my friends are cringing, going, okay, please, John, don't say anything stupid.
And all my friends are on the McHenry County College site looking up the course to see if there's still time to enroll.
Or they could audit.
They can audit the course.
Yeah.
No credit, but you can learn more about genital cutting. And maybe
Your tax dollars at work.
Oh yeah. Well, this is bringing people together because like a little provocative, dirty talk.
Yeah, and chopped up genitals.
I mean, this was
make for good education.
This was all the rage.
I thought I thought community college was for place where you read Joseph Campbell, Hero with 1,000 Faces. I didn't think this happened.
Well, I mean, just talking dirty. That's the top line here. That was very popular in my formative years, thanks to Poison. So maybe C.C. DeVille will be a guest lecturer. What do you think?
Oh boy.
This course, McHenry County College. McHenry County, the last technically Republican-oriented county in Chicagoland. The course plans to help students better understand their own sexual needs and behaviors, and to teach them how to, oh boy, I can't wait to see how this manifests itself.
Okay, sit down, John.
Appreciate various perspectives of sex in relation to gender, age, orientation, religion, and race.
How about this? Old people shouldn't have it, and the rest of it, just turn it off. Turn it off, in the voice of George C. Scott watching a porn film. Turn it off.
All right. Thank you, Grandpa Simpson.
All right.
Thank
you.
The
Calvinists watching porn.
Yeah. A student told Campus Reform News that the course really rubbed him the wrong way.
Okay.
What, no rim shot here?
Okay.
That rim shots will be covered too in the course.
You're
by the way.
getting this.
Students can even.
You're making me bring it back.
I'm not. You can get extra.
You and David Brooks both.
You can get extra credit in the course. You want to know how?
If it has something to do with my hand, just leave it the bleep alone.
You can get extra credit by undergoing STD testing and providing the professor with evidence that you got an STD test. Yeah.
And how did he feel about that? I mean, what do you?
Well, I'm just.
I'll take a million tests.
I'm just detailing the course. I'm just saying this is what McHenry County College is into, you know.
And then sing Jacques Brel's classic song in the port of Amsterdam.
I wonder if there's like some role playing, you know. I'd like a little bit more definition on the talking dirty. That's not all that's going on campus. That's at McHenry College, so it's local. I thought people should know. Maybe they'd be interested in the course and the college, and I don't know what's going on there. You know, they've got an elected board of trustees.
Do they look at their tax bills?
Community college is a small percentage of it. I mean, compared to
Really?
K through 12,
Why
but
don't you
I mean,
look
it's
at Moraine
still
Valley's tax bill?
it's still a few points.
Yeah.
It's a few points.
The Good Burgers of Palos.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, you can't hire academics like the talking dirty professors with peanuts. You know, you got to raise some cash. University of British Columbia, Dr. Katia Team. I'm maybe pronouncing that right. Dr. Katia, we'll call her. Oh no, we can't. We'll just call her Katia because she's a journalism professor, not a doctor. She tweeted in response to a post by Riley Gaines, you know, the swimmer and the woman who wants
Female.
only women to compete against women
This is
in
a
the
radical
pool and
idea.
elsewhere.
Right.
Yeah. She tweeted in response to a video that Riley Gaines posted that just had people essentially offering their perspectives similar to hers on the issue of women's sports. And also concern about having to change in the same locker room with men and so forth. Katia, the journalism professor at the University of British Columbia, tweeted, I'm quoting, little period. This is, you know, the staccato to really put emphasis on it.
People who can't write
Yes.
use this technique often. Yeah.
Let little children see penises and vulvas of various ages and sizes in a casual, normalized, totally safe way.
Do it to your neighbor's kid first, and let's see what happens. Right? In a small town. Oh, you know what? And like, provide video. Like, you can't do that in a small town. Let's see if.
What are you talking about? And we just talked about Watertown, Wisconsin yesterday, where a kid gets arrested for reading Bible verses on a sidewalk while they've got adult men letting little children see penises in a drag queen show.
Twerking up on children is not my idea of the First Amendment. I'm just saying.
It is, I'm not a parent, so I don't. I was a child though. Should children? I mean, is this a question that we have to debate now? Should children be exposed to adult genitalia in order to prepare them to prepare women, and particularly to see naked men in the locker rooms? Is this a way to?
No, it's a way to satisfy
make sure
failed journalists.
I gotta, if you feel uncomfortable, the swimmer in Springfield that we talked to last week. If you feel comfortable about a dude in your locker room, young lady, that's a failure for parents. They didn't expose you to genitalia at an early age, so you would be prepared to see a man in your locker room and you'd be totally comfortable.
Here's what you do.
That's how you solve it.
Here's what you do. You go to Dearborn, Michigan, in a big parade. Ayanna Presley and all these people, the squad, and you have them show the kids the pictures, and let's see what happens. Because you know what? Let's see what happens. All right. You're the one who ends up with their head in the bag, kind of like Daniel Pearl, except it's not fun.
The Trump, the whole Trump voters want to go back to 1960.
Yeah, I want to go back to the 6th century now.
I just want to go back to 5 minutes ago when it was conventional that women and men would be in separate locker rooms, when we weren't talking about ways to productively expose children to adult genitalia, and when Northwestern didn't have sexual performances as part of their curriculum, and McHenry County College students weren't learning how to talk dirty.
You're listening to Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
This is Dennis Prager. Sign up today for an unforgettable experience in Israel this October. Mike Gallagher and I are traveling to the Holy Land on the Stand with Israel tour with our trusted partner, Inspiration Cruises and Tours. This trip of a lifetime to Israel is one you don't want to miss. Register today before it's too late at standwithisraeltour.com, standwithisraeltour.com, or call 855-565-5519. 855-565-5519.
There are more identity threats than you realize. Even if you monitor your credit, only a little personal info needs to leak out, like your social security number or password, for you to become a victim. LifeLock alerts you to threats you could miss. If your identity is stolen, a dedicated U.S.-based restoration specialist will work to fix it. No one can prevent all identity theft or monitor all transactions, but everyone can save up to 25% off their first year with promo code NEWS. Go to lifelock.com.
Hi, I'm Martha Stewart. Every year, more than 4 million pets enter shelters here in the United States. My friends at American Humane have been helping animals since 1877. The goal is to ensure that pets have a safe shelter, especially during natural disasters. Adopting a shelter pet allows shelters to help more animals awaiting care. Please consider adopting today and take some time to learn more about American Humane's other work at americanhumane.org.
The Daily Herald 2022 Best of the Fox winner for Best Financial Planner is Total Clarity Wealth Management. The 2022 Reader's Choice Award winner for Best Wealth Management Firm and Best Financial Planner is Total Clarity Wealth Management. Are you ready for a change? Choose Total Clarity Wealth Management. With a professional team of financial advisors and CPAs, they can show you the way to financial readiness and keep you on track. Their philosophy is built on solid relationships and trust, with access to expertise in tax planning strategies, 401k rollover services, estate planning, and more. They can help you be ready for anything.
Hi, this is Terry Murphy. The cornerstone of our practice has been to help clients stay focused on their goals throughout life's changes.
Get in touch with them at TotalClarityWealth.com. That's TotalClarityWealth.com. Securities offered through LPL Financial Member FINRA SIPC. Investment advice offered through Total Clarity Wealth Management Inc., a registered investment advisor and separate entity from LPL Financial. Awards are based on number of reader votes. This award is not representative of the views of clients and is not indicative of future performance or services.
Hun, we need to stop putting off getting life insurance.
I know. It's just been so busy, and I'm sure the cost is out of our budget.
Well, Jen told me that they got a $500,000 term life insurance policy from Ethos for less than $23 a month. All online with no complicated forms and no medical exam. All they had to do was answer a few health questions.
Wait, no medical exam and all online?
I know, right? It's not easy to think about, but if something happened to you, James and I would be...
Okay, I get it. Let's get a quote from Ethos right now.
Wow, you were right. There's no medical exam, and Ethos makes the whole online process fast and easy. And look at these rates and coverage options. It's great protection and totally fits our budget.
Ethos. They've removed all the barriers from getting coverage. Go to checkethos.com to get your free online quote. That's checkethos.com. Quote based on a healthy, non-smoking 30-year-old male with a 20-year term policy. Rates may vary.
Balance of Nature, changing the world one life at a time.
I think it's just a really good idea simply because I have such a busy schedule that I can't always take care of all of my nutritional needs in the proper ways. I really like it. It's quite nice. I would say that I have more energy. I'm sleeping really well. With my schedule, I don't get quite enough sleep sometimes. And when that happens, I still can manage to have a normal day the following day. So I'm pretty well pleased with it.
Start your journey to better health with Balance of Nature. This week only, we're extending our special travel offer. Right now, get $25 off your first order as a preferred customer, plus a free fruits and veggies travel set with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Call 1-800-246-8751. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
Lots of channels, nothing to watch, especially if you're looking outside of big corporate control. It's time to interrupt your regularly scheduled programs with something worth watching. The new Salem News Channel. Straightforward, unfiltered, in-depth insight and analysis from the greatest collection of conservative minds, all in one place. SNC is home to Dennis Prager, Mike Gallagher, Sebastian Gorka, and more. Watch anytime on any screen. Free 24/7. Find what you're looking for at snc.tv.
The best way to protect yourself from inflation, hyperinflation, or a recession is to trade the doomed currency into a hard asset before it happens. Why precious metals? Gold and silver have been the store of value for thousands of years. Why not ETFs or just buy it on paper? The whole sales pitch for owning gold and silver is to have it in your own control, not in some bank vault hundreds of miles away or the cloud. Can't you just buy from anyone? Most people like the anonymity of paying cash and walking out the door with the product. You can't do that through the mail. If you are buying or selling gold, silver, or platinum, it's basically cash and carry.
Fox Valley Coins. Our products are as good as, well, you get the idea. Don't buy and sell through the mail. Deal with a real store. Fox Valley Coins in Naperville for an investment with a real silver lining. Check out foxvalleycoins.com.
A storm is on the horizon, and you need to keep the lights on no matter what. Your business relies on the power being on 24/7. It's the lifeblood of your data and computer systems. Weather-related outages from the power company are not acceptable. Your need for a source of power that's reliable 24/7, along with round-the-clock service that can dispatch technicians to your site immediately, is mission critical. Your business needs Charles Equipment Energy Systems on speed dial. These are the big boys, not residential or solar, but reliable industrial generators for emergency backup or events. When you need more than a 100-foot extension cord plugged into a small engine generator, call Charles Equipment Energy Systems. They keep the lights on with rental generators for job sites or power outages. A storm is on the horizon. Plan ahead. Call now to prepare generators for storms and potential power outages. Call 630-834-6000, 630-834-6000, or charlesequipment.com.
Tell me why Relief Factor is so successful at lowering or eliminating pain. I'm often asked that question, and the owners of Relief Factor tell me they believe our bodies were designed to heal. That's right, designed to heal, and I agree with them. The doctors who formulated Relief Factor selected the 4 best ingredients, yes, 100% drug-free ingredients, each helping your body deal with inflammation. Each of the 4 ingredients deals with inflammation from a different metabolic pathway. That's right there, approaching from 4 different angles, may be why so many people find such wonderful relief. So if you have back pain, shoulder, neck, hip, knee, or foot pain from exercise or just getting older, you should order the 3-week quick start, discounted to only $19.95, to see if it will work for you. It has for about 70% of the 500,000 people who've tried it, and they've ordered more. Go to ReliefFactor.com or call 800-4RELIEF, the number 4RELIEF, to find out about this offer. Feel the difference.
AM 560, The Answer.
Text from 847 about our genitalia professor. Kids should see genitalia to prepare girls to see men in their locker rooms. Right, so now children should see adult vaginas and penises, but not read Dr. Seuss or Laura Ingalls Wilder. Yeah, that's about the world we live in. That sums it up nicely. Coming up, to sum up Trump's legal matters nicely, Andy McCarthy, former chief assistant U.S. attorney. Now we turn it over to Mike Scott for the headlines.
A judge halts Illinois' attack on crisis pregnancy centers. WIND Chicago News Time, 7.
It was a very good day. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. That's what former President Trump posted on social media after he was arraigned in his third indictment, and saying after,
"This is the persecution of the person that's leading by very, very substantial numbers in the Republican primary and leading Biden by a lot."
The former president also posted he just needs one more indictment to ensure he's elected again. That may be looming in Georgia, related to attempts to overturn the 2020 election, the same basis for the charges he was arraigned on.
The former president pleaded not guilty to conspiracy to defraud the U.S., obstruct an official proceeding, and deny voting rights. Prosecutors are asking for a speedy trial. Defense attorneys say the government has had more than 3 years to prepare, and they, too, will need ample time. A trial date was not set, but could be at the next hearing scheduled for August 28th.
Fox's Jared Halpern. 6 ex-police officers in Mississippi who are white pleaded guilty in court to assaulting 2 black men in January.
Court documents showed the officers entered a home without a warrant and handcuffed and used a stun gun on the 2 black men, Michael Jenkins and Eddie Parker. The men were also beaten, and one officer put his gun in Jenkins' mouth and fired, breaking his jaw. The officers did not provide medical attention and reportedly constructed a cover-up story. They are said to have gone to the house because a white neighbor complained that the black men were staying with the white woman who owned it.
Fox's Kevin Uretsky. A Russian ship has been damaged in a Ukrainian drone attack targeting a Black Sea port key for Russian exports after numerous Russian attacks on Ukrainian grain. 2 U.S. Navy sailors arrested, charged with spying for China. Later this hour, we'll get the jobs report.
Here are the estimates. So we're looking for 200,000 jobs. This is non-farm payroll jobs. That would have been added, but that's less than we got last month. Unemployment rate to still remain at 3.6%.
That's Cheryl Casoni. America's listening to Fox.
"7:02 is our time on AM 560, The Answer, and good morning, everyone. I'm Mike Scott. This morning, a 25-year-old gunman is reportedly killed by a Walgreens security guard following an altercation in the South Shore neighborhood Thursday evening. Chicago police tell us officers responded to that shooting near 71st and Jeffrey and are still investigating. A federal judge is halting Illinois' law targeting crisis pregnancy centers. During a hearing yesterday, the judge granted a motion for a preliminary injunction seeking to immediately halt the measure, which allows the Illinois Attorney General to investigate alleged complaints against centers accused of using misinformation or so-called deceptive practices. A 35-year-old man was driving the wrong way on Route 83 in Villa Park when his car collided with another, killing both drivers on Thursday morning. It happened on Route 83. Authorities have identified a man who was fatally shot during an armed robbery at a Lansing gas station Thursday morning. The ME's office identified the man as 53-year-old Cameron Webster Sr. Loved ones say the fatal shooting victim worked as a security guard. Lansing Police Chief Alfred Phillips.
They've got a lot of cameras in many different angles, so try and put people at ease a little bit here. They're well lit up at night. Our officers are in the area constantly throughout the evening.
South Suburban Major Crimes Task Force is assisting with the investigation. Chicago seeing a drop in murders and shootings this year, according to their statistics. Police say murders are down 6% so far in 2023. Shooting incidents, according to their data, have decreased 9%. Governor J.B. Pritzker has signed a law requiring school districts to establish full-day kindergarten within the next 4 years. But now experts in the field say that's not what's best for the entire state. Allison Maley is PR director with the Illinois Principals Association.
One of the major concerns we had was that there was no funding allotted for this. And, not only will some districts need additional space, they will need additional teachers.
Brian Sode with the Illinois Association of School Boards says mandating the entire state to offer full-day kindergarten is not the way to go.
Folks who can have done it, and in those areas where there's a struggle for a reason. Either voters have said no, or the facilities or other things become a very real factor.
According to the law, districts that currently do not offer full-day programs can apply for a waiver. Chicago sports, Cubs edged the Reds 5-3. White Sox lost to the Rangers 5-3. The Bears have signed free agent defensive end Yannick Ngakoue to a one-year deal worth $10.5 million. The news, a service of the AM 560 mobile app. Download the AM 560 mobile app or text the word app to 64636. And a check of traffic and weather is on the way next on AM 560.
Bidenomics is working.
We got front runners.
This is just another hoax.
We got up and comers.
All options are on the table. Something has to give.
People of every background.
We got scandals.
Like Mama Jones said, someone's lying.
And the election season is just getting started. Keep up with all of it on Chicago's election station. AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan.
Are you a business owner with a strategic mission, a drive to succeed, and a plan for growth, but you just need the right bank? Hi, Mike Gallagher here, letting you know that Signature Bank is all about going the distance for commercial banking customers. It's what Signature Bank does every day. Their team understands that accessibility is key to their culture. In times like these, you want a bank that is there for you to weather the bad times and capitalize on the good. And with Signature Bank by your side, you can't go wrong. It's a true partnership. That's why Signature Bank in Chicago is my bank. That's right. I'm a customer. I believe in what they have to offer, from innovative tech and customized solutions to help your business grow and thrive. Reach out to my friends at Signature Bank. Call 773-467-5630, 773-467-5630, or visit them online at signaturebank.bank. That's signaturebank.bank. Signature Bank makes commercial banking personal. Member FDIC, equal housing lender.
There are more identity threats than you realize. Even if you monitor your credit, only a little personal info needs to leak out, like your social security number or password.
For you to become a victim.
LifeLock alerts you to threats you could miss. If your identity is stolen, a dedicated U.S.-based restoration specialist will work to fix it. No one can prevent all identity theft or monitor all transactions, but everyone can save up to 25% off their first year with promo code NEWS. Go to lifelock.com.
Hi, I'm Martha Stewart. Every year, more than 4 million pets enter shelters here in the United States. My friends at American Humane have been helping animals since 1877. The goal is to ensure that pets have a safe shelter, especially during natural disasters. Adopting a shelter pet allows shelters to help more animals awaiting care. Please consider adopting today and take some time to learn more about American Humane's other work at americanhumane.org.
Have you been struggling to find an easy, safe, and secure document scanning solution for Salesforce.com, Microsoft 365, SharePoint, or OnBase by Highland? Your struggle is now over, and it's time to get your documents and operations into the 21st century. With IoT Smart Connected Scanning, it's easy to turn physical paper into digital documents and have them directly uploaded to the cloud with IoT Smart Connected Scanning from IDT. And you don't need a degree in computing or IT to make it happen. Using QR code technology uniquely configured for your specific business, anyone can set the IoT Smart Connected Scanning device up in 5 minutes or less, saving your organization money and valuable time. Remote employees can even capture documents and send them safely and seamlessly. Organize documents efficiently and securely with IoT Smart Connected Scanning from IDT. To see a demo or to order now, go to ready4idt.com. That's ready4idt.com. Use promo code SMART and receive 10% off your order. IDT, putting paper in its place.
7:09, let's get an update on the roads. We do that, of course, in the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, and we start on the inbound side of the Kennedy, a little lighter than normal this morning. Might get to work on time. 36 from O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. Ike 37 from 390 into the old post office. Stevenson 40 minutes from 355 into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. Dan Ryan Express lanes, earlier accident being pulled out of your way inbound between 63rd and 43rd. Tri-State jammed solid northbound right at the Reagan Toll Road I-88 merge. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with Steve Williams.
Partly sunny, pleasant, less humid day. High today 84. Tonight partly cloudy, low 67. Clouds and sun, humid tomorrow. Thunderstorm, high 86. Strong thunderstorm on Sunday. Could see some flooding downpours. Maybe even an isolated tornado, high 84. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560. The Answer.
73 at O'Hare. Sunshine. Next news 7:30. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560. The Answer.
Listen to AM 560 The Answer online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, and on TuneIn, iHeart, and on Odyssey. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560 The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan, and in for Amy J this morning is John K. John Cass, former Tribune columnist who graduated to johncassnews.com.
And prepared to project my voice.
Yes, talking your radio voice.
Because listeners were calling in, Dan, saying, Dan, get him to project, and so I shall.
Yes, much better. You're in the public square.
850, 560, whatever.
It doesn't matter. All right. Yesterday, former President Trump was arraigned again, and he had this to say to the press before he jetted back to the safety of Mar-a-Lago. Well, sometimes safety. Sometimes the FBI's there. Hopefully it wasn't there when he got back yesterday.
Well, thank you very much. This is a very sad day for America, and it was also very sad driving through Washington, D.C. and seeing the filth and the decay and all of the broken buildings and walls and the graffiti. This is not the place that I left. It's a very sad thing to see it. When you look at what's happening, this is a persecution of a political opponent. This was never supposed to happen in America. This is the persecution of the person that's leading by very, very substantial numbers in the Republican primary and leading Biden by a lot. So if you can't beat him, you persecute him or you prosecute him. We can't let this happen in America. Thank you very much.
If you can't beat him, you prosecute him. I like and I just have to say, I love your case is a joke and your city's a dump. That's basically what he said. I'm out of here. All right, very good. Now, you've heard my arguments on this case, this indictment.
Yes, I have. I'm a loyal listener.
Yeah, and so let's hear some disagreement. And this comes from no less an authority than former Attorney General Bill Barr, who was on with CNN talking about whether or not this is a facially ridiculous case, as George Washington law professor Jonathan Turley characterized it, for example, or not.
Ridiculous on its face?
That's what Turley said. That's not what Barr thinks. But first, there's that matter, and then there's the second question of, even if you believe it's potentially a legitimate case, would you, using your prosecutorial discretion, choose to pursue this case, understanding the larger implications? And that's where Barr started before he addressed the merits of the case. So listen to the question about the legitimacy of the case, but his concerns. Listen to his concerns, and then you'll listen to his legal argument.
Yeah, I think it's a legitimate case. I think, unlike the document case, it's going to have issues of proof. It's a more complicated case, and I think there are some downsides to it. I think there were reasons not to bring it. I've said before, I'm a little concerned about the slippery slope of criminalizing legitimate political activity. I'm worried about moving in that direction. And I'm also worried about bringing this case and the divisiveness that it will bring by highlighting the double standard. Because at the same time this case is being brought, the department appears to have dropped the ball on the Hunter Biden investigation. It's going to be very hard to persuade many Republicans that this isn't political. I don't know if I would have approved the indictment, but in the sense I may have exercised discretion and not gone forward with the case. I'm also concerned about having this case going on during the election and diverting people's attention from the issues in the election. I'm also worried about, what the impact is if there are acquittals during the
election. So there's a lot of concerns there. My Barr's all but saying I wouldn't have gone forward with it because of these concerns that I'm raising, both the election interference concern as well as the double standard. As a legal matter, though, as just a strictly legal matter, Barr said this.
As a legal matter, I don't see a problem with the indictment. I think that it's not an abuse. The Department of Justice is not acting to weaponize the department by proceeding against the president for a conspiracy to subvert the electoral process.
I've often said nice things about Bill Barr because I like him. I respect his intellect and his legal acumen, but I think he is categorically wrong here. And one of the blind spots I think Barr has is, institutional. He's a creature of the Beltway. He's an independent thinker. I don't think he's part of the swamp, quote unquote, but I think he pays way too much deference to the institutions because they're important. But in a way that sort of blinds him to how those in charge are undermining their legitimacy, which is why I think he was slow to act when he was Attorney General, and he's slow to come to this, to me, obvious recognition that this is absolutely the weaponization of DOJ, FBI, Intel. And it's not just in this instance, it's the manifest weight of the evidence. Prior bad acts should be considered when making such an assessment, and Bill Barr doesn't seem to be inclined to do that.
We're all subject to our biases, but he is obviously subject to his.
Yeah, and one other argument I wanted to play from Barr, which is material before we get to Andy McCarthy. On the free speech argument with Jonathan Turley, spent some time talking about earlier this week. We talked about it in this show because I think it's a serious one. Criminalizing political speech.
Mm-hmm.
Bill Barr is not persuaded that this is a free speech case.
No, I really don't think that's a valid argument because, as the indictment says, they're not attacking his First Amendment right. He can say whatever he wants. He can even lie. He can even tell people that the election was stolen when he knew better. But that does not protect you from entering into a conspiracy. All conspiracies involve speech, and all fraud involves speech. So, free speech doesn't give you the right to engage in a fraudulent conspiracy.
Mm-hmm. Let's get Andy McCarthy's take on that. Andy McCarthy is a former chief assistant U.S. attorney, contributing editor to National Review, author of the bestseller Ball of Collusion, The Plot to Rig an Election and Destroy a Presidency. Oh, my, wait a second. The plot to rig an election. Andy McCarthy could be in some legal jeopardy with Jack Smith based on his book, I think. Yeah. Andy McCarthy, unindicted co-conspirator after the fact, joins us now. Andy, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Oh, it's my pleasure, guys. How are you?
Good. All right. So what about Bill Barr's take that this is a legitimate case to bring, generally speaking, and then specific his response to the argument that this is criminalizing political speech?
Well, like you, I have a lot of respect for Barr, and where I part company with him on this is that I think he's right that all conspiracies and all frauds are proven by speech. But the thing is, you have to have a crime in the first place,
right,
under the fraud laws. And he thinks that the statute that that Smith has invoked here, this conspiracy to defraud the United States, obviously he thinks that that's a valid statute the way that it has been interpreted going back to the early 20th century, where I think they strayed from what the original understanding of fraud is. Fraud in federal law is a deceptive scheme to bilk somebody out of money or tangible property. It's a financial crime. In the early 20th century, you had judges, including the Supreme Court in the 1920s in particular, kind of contort that or expand it so that it was deemed to be a deceptive arrangement that undermined some essential government function, even if it wasn't designed to steal money or property. The Supreme Court, since 1987, has been walking away from that. They haven't taken on a case that that talks about this particular statute. The cases that they've dealt with have been other fraud statutes. But fraud is fraud. And in May, they decided two cases where they threw out convictions against cronies of Governor Andrew Cuomo in New York because the government had tried to criminalize something along the lines of what they're trying to criminalize with Trump, which is not a scheme to defraud people out of money or property, but to undermine, some progressive ideal of what good government looks like. And what the court said is, look, if Congress wants to make that a law, they can try to make it a law by passing a clear, non-vague statute. But prosecutors don't get to do that by extending or manipulating loose concepts like fraud and corruption and the like. And I think that's what Smith has done here. So I don't think conspiracy to defraud the United States means to undermine an election. Conspiracy to defraud the United States means to steal money or property from the United States. And I think what Bill is adopting is the Justice Department's long-standing, I think, wrong and dangerous interpretation of that statute, and I just don't accept it. And I don't think the Supreme Court will either.
The other thing about this, I mentioned a bit when John and I were talking about this earlier, this conspiracy was completely open for public review. I mean, what is mentioned in the indictment, the alternate slates of electors, the attempt to persuade Mike Pence to intervene. I mean, we were all debating this on the airwaves in real time as the arguments were being made, as it was being suggested, and so it has the appearance, this skullduggerous conspiracy that was afoot. There's nothing skullduggerous about it. It was open and notorious.
Yeah, I think, Dan, that I've made this point a number of times, especially about the what are called the fake electors, which I really think were contingent electors, not fake electors.
Right.
But what I've pointed out to people is this reads a lot better than it played, right? It reads in a very sinister way when you read that indictment. The way it played out in real time, nobody in America thought that those alternative electors were real. Nobody thought that they had been certified by the states. Nobody thought that their electoral votes counted. My understanding of them, and I think this will come out in court, it'll be very hard to prove that anybody was being fraudulent beyond a reasonable doubt on this. The idea was that if Trump succeeded in one of these Hail Mary passes to get a court or a state legislature to throw out the popular election and refer the matter to a Republican-controlled state legislature, which would then substitute its vote for Trump for the popular vote for Biden. If that happened, then these people stood as ready to be the electors to cast the electoral votes if that contingency came to pass. The problem is no one in their right mind actually thought that contingency was going to come to pass, and nobody at the time thought that these electors were real electors, and the electors themselves thought that they weren't real electors, that they were there in the highly unlikely event that the popular election got thrown out.
Well, and also, well, sorry to interrupt, but it also, and everybody knew this at the time. I mean, if you were paying attention, it's not like there's a big reveal here. There's nothing in that indictment that we don't already know occurred, and to characterize it as criminal, well, that goes back to the argument you made.
Yeah, well, I just think that with respect to the rest of it, I think what they're doing is trying to criminalize a cockamamie legal theory, which to me is even more dangerous than criminalizing political speech. Because
why?
Yeah,
if you're now going to tell lawyers that their imaginative legal theories, of which defense lawyers and Democrats have no shortage of imaginative legal theories, if that's now a felony, as I've told people when I was a prosecutor, defense lawyers are very creative men and women. If a cockamamie legal theory is now a felony, I could have indicted 5 of them a day.
Yeah, and Dan Goldman better watch out if that's true. Yeah.
Right.
So why is it then, if the Democrats have their way, when a presidential candidate cannot even discuss this publicly, what is the danger besides the bollocksing things up in the courts? What is the danger to the republic? What did the founders, the framers, think was in jeopardy as the result of politicizing speech?
Yeah. Well, John, I think this is a really important point, because it seems to me that those of us who are highly critical of what Trump did in the aftermath of the election, and I put myself very much in that category.
Me too.
That is supposed to, in our system, be checked by Congress. You talk about what would the founders have thought. The founders would have thought it was insane to think that presidents and the bad behavior of presidents could be reined in by prosecutors who work for the president. We didn't have a Justice Department then like we have now, but the system that they gave us, the constitutional structure that they gave us, anticipated that it would be Congress, not the legal system, that would deal with presidential misconduct. And I think what you have here is a situation where the political system really didn't hold Trump accountable in the end, and that has not sat well with a lot of people who despise Trump. And as a result, they're trying to use a legal process as a proxy for failing to impeach him. But the problem is the legal process is not a good fit for this. You have to have laws that, obviously Smith is groping for a law. The reason we don't have those laws is not a failure. It's a feature, not a bug.
Yeah.
If you have the kind of laws that he needs to prosecute this case, you would be inviting the Justice Department and the FBI to get involved in every single election, which is precisely what Bill Barr, I think, rightly says we don't want. And we're now seeing the effects of it.
So when one of the arguments goes, and Bill Barr made it as well, that Trump knew he had lost the election. So he knew that he was perpetrating a lie. However, the Carrick files, Bernie Carrick, who was hired by Giuliani to do some investigative work during the clown show legal challenges that Giuliani was a part of. But they right up until January 6th, the reporting on those files goes, it turned over to Jack Smith, that they were still exploring the possibility of votes that were counted that shouldn't have been, votes that weren't counted that should have been, and all of the other things that they were allegedly exploring and arguing for from November to when Trump left office, frankly, and subsequent to that even. So that's number one. It's how obvious is it that based on hearsay and what he said to Pence and this and that he knew that he had lost. And so that's number one. And number two is, does it even matter whether he knew or not with respect to this criminal prosecution?
Well, I think to answer the last question first, for all the lavish talk about his state of mind and what did he believe and what he didn't believe, if you don't have a crime, you never get to what the guy's state of mind is, right? The thing that you've accused him of has to be a crime before you ever get to the mental element. And that's where I think the case fails. But on the broader thing, I can totally understand somebody like Barr, who had direct conversations with Trump and told him that the things that he was raising had been looked into and were wrong, I could understand him being miffed at Trump saying that, he never knew, or,
he believed it was rigged or whatever.
Yeah. But here's the thing. If I were representing Trump, I think, no matter what Bill Barr told him or Pence told him or anyone else told him, Justice Thomas wrote a dissent when the Supreme Court refused to take the Pennsylvania case. Remember this, before the 2020 election? And what Justice Thomas says, I think, is absolutely right, and I'd be relying on it if I were Trump's lawyers, which is we need to take this case before the election, because the time frame after election for trying to litigate and investigate fraud is so compressed that, as a practical matter, if you don't deal with what the rules are before the election, you're not going to be able to figure it out after the election because the time frame is too compressed. And I think what Trump will say is, no matter what Bill Barr told me, and Barr was out, I think, by it was about the early December of 2020. No matter what Barr was telling him in November or December, I would assume that Trump is going to say, look, there were still unresolved questions, even beyond when the December 14th, when the Electoral College met. And he's going to say that there are even more questions today than there were then. And it was too compressed a time period to make a definitive finding of whether there was fraud or not, as the Supreme Court justice recognized. And in the meantime, Jack Smith's indictment says that we can deduce what Trump knew because some people were telling him there was no fraud, but that's the prosecutor's side of the story. What Trump is going to say is that logic works for me too, because there were a lot of people who were whispering in my ear that there was fraud, and I believed them. And how do you prove that he didn't?
Yeah. Andy MacArthur, former Chief Assistant U.S. Attorney, contributing editor at National Review, author of the bestseller Ball of Collusion, The Plot to Rig an Election and Destroy a Presidency. Thanks, as always, for your insights, Andy. Appreciate your time.
Have a good weekend, gents.
You too. And he joined us on the Turnkey.Pro answer line. Coming up at 7:37, end of the encampments, ? That's certainly relevant to Chicago. Judge Glock from City Journal, the best name in conservative commentary, Judge Glock. Sounds like an action hero. At 7:37.
73 degrees at 7:32. We're watching Ukrainian sea drones attacking a major Russian port on the Black Sea. They've damaged naval vessels, according to Ukrainian officials. It's the latest in a series of strikes inside Russia as Kyiv is vowing to bring the fight home to Vladimir Putin. Former President Donald Trump says yesterday was a sad day for America.
So if you can't beat him, you persecute him or you prosecute him. We can't let this happen in America.
He made those comments Thursday after pleading not guilty to criminal charges connected to his alleged efforts to overturn the 2020 presidential election. Former President Trump's attorney is also ripping into the latest federal indictment.
President Trump will continue to fight, not for him, but for the American people.
Alina Habba called the indictment election interference against a presidential candidate. Chicago police have arrested a man who barricaded himself inside an apartment following a shooting on the city's north side. Police responded to a 911 call from a child of a person shot in the 2200 block of West Carmen around noontime Thursday. Upon arrival, officers discovered two men and a woman exiting the residence. The woman was shot in the jaw, transported to Illinois Masonic Hospital, listed in fair condition. A 25-year-old gunman was shot and killed by a Walgreens security guard. It followed an altercation on the street in the South Shore neighborhood between two men. Chicago police say they responded to the call of that shooting at 71st and Jeffrey. A federal judge is halting an Illinois law targeting crisis pregnancy centers. During a hearing yesterday, the judge granted a motion for a preliminary injunction halting immediately the measure, which allows the Illinois Attorney General to investigate alleged complaints against centers accused of using any misinformation. Well, you might want to grab some milk today. It is National Chocolate Chip Cookie Day.
It's a drop cookie created. And yes, that's where it started. Nestle bought the recipe from Ruth Wakefield in 1939 for a lifetime supply of chocolate. It is America's favorite cookie, but it's not the world's favorite. That goes to Oreo, also good. On this National Chocolate Chip Cookie Day, remember that chocolate lowers blood pressure, prevents liver damage, and... I'm Bree Tennis, NBC News Radio.
Yeah, you can't compare an Oreo and a chocolate chip cookie. There's no comparison. Cubs edge the Reds 5-3 to take that series at Wrigley Field. White Sox lost to the Rangers 5-3. Bears get better on D, according to ESPN experts who say they've signed free agent defensive end Yannick Ngakoue to a one-year, $10.5 million deal. He had 9.5 sacks last year. 7:35 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
The Sean Thompson Show.
There are millions upon millions of people of good character going to good states and low-rent Democrat scum going to Democrat states. After all, that's where they thrive. This is where this is acceptable. And it's being put as something that's normal. It's normal now to be an outright thief, scumbag, traitor to your country.
The Sean Thompson Show. Weekday afternoons at 4 on AM 560. The Answer.
Hi, I'm Martha Stewart. Every year, more than 4 million pets enter shelters here in the United States. My friends at American Humane have been helping animals since 1877. The goal is to ensure that pets have a safe shelter, especially during natural disasters. Adopting a shelter pet allows shelters to help more animals awaiting care. Please consider adopting today and take some time to learn more about American Humane's other work at americanhumane.org.
Barbecue bags and brews sound great right about now. But are you really ready to entertain on that dirty, oil-stained driveway or patio? No oil stain removal is too big or too small for Cabino Environmental. Whether you're a homeowner or a business owner, you can use Cabino Oil Stain Remover. It's a safe, effective, and powerful oil stain lifting formula. This is not the same stuff you buy at the big box store. This is a concentrated, all-natural stain lifter that goes deep into the concrete or brick for superior cleaning. Simply pour it on the soiled area, let it dry, and then brush away. Start your cleanup at CabinoEnvironmental.com. The Cabino Environmental Response Team will come to your rescue across Northern Illinois and the Milwaukee area. And you can purchase the Cabino Oil Stain Remover online and have it shipped anywhere in the U.S. and Canada. Can't wait? Cabino Oil Stain Remover is also now available at your local Rental Max.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles, with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost, month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost.
Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-353-2973. That's 800-353-2973. What do you have to lose? Call 800-353-2973. Again, 800-353-2973.
Hire with minimal effort and max speed with Indeed. Their hiring solution platform helps you attract, interview, and hire candidates efficiently. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
7:38. Credit to our friends at Fox 32 down near 57th Street. An SUV just literally drove into Lake Michigan. Yeah, there will be an emergency response, I'm sure. We'll keep track of that as we also watch very slow traffic on 8094 eastbound between Grant and I-65. Tri-State jamming up north right at the Reagan I-88 toll road. Things are slow on the Dan Ryan, 19 minutes, 95th into the Burns Circle interchange. You're especially heavy, 87th into the Skyway. Eichen, 36 to the old post office from Manheim And the Kennedy right now, 44 O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. Traffic, a service of MyPillow. Queen-size MyPillows are regularly priced at about $69.98. Now only $19.98 with promo code Liberty. Visit MyPillow.com and use that promo code Liberty. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Partly sunny and pleasant. Little less humid today and a high of 85. Partly cloudy and 68 overnight. 73 right now. Next news at 8. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Listen to AM 560 The Answer online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, and on TuneIn, iHeart, and on Odyssey. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan, and in for Amy J this morning, John Cass, renowned columnist, formerly of the Tribune, currently of JohnCassNews.com, where subscriptions are $50 a year, $5 a month.
Well, I don't give it away like the Tribune
$4
does.
a month, $5 a month, $50 a year.
$50 a year, $5 a month.
Right.
But you get a discount if you go yearly. And
Okay.
you know what? You get to read some I think, some very good Chicago writers. I still haven't captured that one writer I've been trying my best to get. I'm still trying to get him. His name's, you know him? His name's Dan Proft.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I will do so at some point when I feel that I'm ready to take that step.
Red carpet, smooching on the ass is not going to happen with me.
Well,
if you want to write, if you want to write for John Cass News, all you got to do is drop a line to John at John Cass News, and I'll be interested to read it.
It is a good variety of authors, a stable that you're building, just like guests that we built on this show. And so I do highly recommend JohnCassNews.com. You hear us reference the columns on this show quite often.
Greg Gansky,
maybe
Aaron Geary.
Maybe you can get our next guest if the Manhattan Institute will release him. Judge Glock is a contributing editor of City Journal and author of The Dead Pledge, The Origins of the Mortgage Market and Federal Bailouts, 1913 to 1939. He's written recently about a problem we have in Chicago, these encampments, and the encampments that were once just of the indigenous homeless have now expanded to include our migrant friends. Brandon Johnson, BLM Brandon, he's the mayor of Chicago now, don't you know? He had this to say the other day about said migrants that are still sleeping at police stations in some parts of the city.
My position has not changed, that transitioning individuals out of police stations is still top of mind. Finding more adequate places for shelter for families, that is top of mind. Having full wraparound services for families who wish to call the city of Chicago their home, that is still top of mind.
It's top of mind, but as
Who
they've...
writes this? JKP, whatever her name is?
KJP?
Yeah, whatever her name is.
KJP, White House spokeshuman. He does sound a little bit that top of mind. I'll
Right.
circle back. Oh, that's Jen Psaki. But anyway, but the problem, if it is a problem, that Brandon Johnson is having is as they do this road show going neighbor to neighbor to say, we're going to use the old South Shore High School, we're going to use this spot, we're going to use in Lakeview, we're going to use that spot on the northwest side. The residents are showing up. They're not clapping along. They're pushing back.
Black people don't like, let's be honest, black people don't like being pushed back in line. They don't. And they're not going to sit for, I guess Democrats believe that they're so stupid that they will sit for it.
Yeah,
But
I think they the
I
power.
don't think they're that stupid.
Well, the power structure in big cities is such that I think you wouldn't fault them for saying, look, they're going to protest. We know we're going to get some heat, but it's sound and fury signifying not very much.
because in the end they're going to come back for that government cheese, and we're dangling on a hook.
Judge Glock, contributing editor, City Journal, joins us now. Judge, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thanks so much for having me.
So, you write about and you write specifically, I'll quote you here, Americans have stopped listening to the activists who are trying to shame them about not lying prone while they take over spaces on behalf of the unhoused, as they would call them. So, yeah, we see that in Chicago, at least in terms of rhetorical pushback. But at the end of the day, it seems to me that those activists you write about are still winning the battle in the big cities.
Well, they're certainly winning the battle in a lot of big cities. But as I note in the article, people have found a lot of different ways to push back. You've seen major laws against homeless encampments passed in places like Texas, Missouri, Tennessee, Georgia. You've seen lawsuits against some of the cities by a very broad, diverse group of different interests who are sick of giant homeless encampments in parks and in sidewalks. You've seen cities, even in some of these blue cities, finally start to take action and start to crack down, pass new laws against homeless encampments, pass new laws pushing people into shelters, into services, because they know that the vast, vast majority of Americans think it's unacceptable to allow large encampments on city streets and parks. That's just no way to actually have a functional city.
But where's the payback? When I see New York treating the idea of kicking kids out of camps or out of swimming pools so they can cater to the homeless, and Chicago doing the same thing, and there's no punishment for that. There's no political price to pay, and they'll keep doing it.
It just takes, I would like to think in most places it takes time. Some places, for whatever reason, the politicians have managed to push this issue into the background and claim that it's not a focus. But when people are actually polled about this, when people are actually get to vote directly on this, you find even in the bluest cities in America, you have overwhelming majorities that are opposed to these sorts of policies. Now, I note that in my hometown of Austin, Texas, one of the most liberal cities in the country, they had a city council vote 11-0, unanimous vote to allow camping on public streets and sidewalks, etc. And yet you had, when the people got a chance to vote on it, you had 58% saying, no, that's unacceptable. We are going to ban camping again. And they reinstated the camping ban. So when you give people a chance to say something, to speak out against it, they're overwhelmingly on one side.
But then you sort to get to John's point a little bit too. Then you get to the enforcement side of it, and so it's sort of like Eric Adams now talking about the need for border security. A strong proponent of sanctuary city, sanctuary state. Of course, he governs over one sanctuary city, and the implications of the policy choices of big city mayors like Eric Adams being visited upon them. They don't like it so much. They want the federal government to give money. They want the federal government to get serious about border security all of a sudden. But you still have them acting to prop up the policies that they have stated their support for, and we see that in Chicago as well.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but you're also beginning to see a change, even in people like, as you know, Mayor Eric Adams. So Mayor Eric Adams has now talked about ending the legal settlement that requires them to house every migrant into the city, which is completely unacceptable now because 50% of all of their shelter capacity is now being used for migrants and refugees instead of local homeless individuals. You have Mayor Eric Adams also enforcing new laws for mental health treatment, requiring more commitment by police officers, helping getting people who are clearly suffering from schizophrenia or other severe mental disorders into hospitals or treatment. You're having him begin to fight back against people sleeping on the subways. It is no longer acceptable to have the subways basically be an open shelter for anybody who wants to stay there for hours at a time. So you're seeing pushback again, not as much as you would probably like or think, but people are beginning to be fed up with it, and you're seeing even in these very blue cities people push back.
Well, it's going to be really interesting that if there is a real moment where this gets to a point of a showdown between big blue city mayors and the administration, because, whatever you do at the municipal level is going to be insufficient as long as the tide into cities like Chicago, New York is not steady.
Systems, which is now currently accommodating a lot of these migrants. These systems were set up to temporarily shelter people who are down on their luck for short periods of time, and that's what they should be returned to doing instead of sheltering basically anybody who's crossed the border and needs indefinite shelter paid for by the city.
He is Judge Glock, contributing editor, City Journal, author of The Dead Pledge, The Origins of the Mortgage Market and Federal Bailouts, 1913 to 1939. Do check out his piece over at City Journal. End of the encampments, ? We certainly want the answer to that in Chicago. Judge Glock, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Thanks so much for having me.
And he joined us on the Turnkey.Pro answer line.
This is the morning show more Chicago radio listeners are choosing. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer. TV news. It's a love-hate relationship. Well, let's be honest. More hate. We agree. That's why we're different. Salem News Channel has assembled the greatest collection of conservative minds all in one place. Home to Charlie Kirk, Hugh Hewitt, Eric Metaxas, and more. There's finally a place on TV for lovers of freedom like you. Watch anytime on any screen, free 24/7. Find what you're looking for at snc.tv. That's snc.tv.
It's hot and humid outside, but your basement or crawl space shouldn't feel that way. High humidity above 60% will activate mold spores, which results in unhealthy air throughout your home. Hi, I'm Roy Spencer of Permaseal. We have a solution for you. Our PermaDry air system will lower the humidity in your home to a safe level and keep it there no matter how hot it is. Call today, 800-421-SEAL. PermaDry is 3 times as powerful and efficient as the dehumidifiers at the big box stores. So don't spend the money and not solve the problem. PermaDry also filters out mold spores and allergens, making the air that you breathe upstairs healthier year-round. Contact PermaSeal today for a free evaluation and receive a 20% discount on your PermaDry. Don't wait. This offer expires July 31st. Ask your consultant about financing options. That's 800-421-7325 or permaseal.net.
Known best for being better, Permaseal.
Balance of Nature, changing the world one life at a time.
My son was saying, Mom, why are you paying so much for this? The supplement store has the exact same thing. And I said, no, they don't. Because he was telling me that they have similar products as Balance of Nature. But then when he came over to my house and he looked at the label of the Balance of Nature about all the, ingredients and everything, he realized, oh yeah, this is a superior product.
Start your journey to better health with Balance of Nature. This week only, we're extending our special travel offer. Right now, get $25 off your first order as a preferred customer, plus a free fruits and veggies travel set with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Call 1-800-246-8751. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code Chicago.
There is a place in northern Illinois that people have come from all around the globe seeking treasure.
It's amazing. I didn't know what to expect, but when I got there, I was surrounded by all kinds of gold and silver.
An actual place where you're surrounded by treasure?
I've known that gold and silver were a good investment, but I really didn't want to buy it through the mail. At Fox Valley Coins, I basically walked in, picked out what I wanted, paid cash, and walked out with gold and silver.
Walk in with paper and walk out with actual gold and silver bars. For decades, Fox Valley Coins has traded paper dollars for actual gold and silver. They buy and sell. The treasure map is available at foxvalleycoins.com. They are on Route 59, 1 light north of I-88 in Naperville, Illinois. Again, for info and the map, seek foxvalleycoins.com.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
I'm Amanda Zanger, owner of Black Industrial and Safety Supply in Hammond, Indiana, and a business customer of Signature Bank.
Prior to owning my own business, I worked for a major financial institution. So when it came time to finance the acquisition of Black, I approached a big bank, only to receive a solid no. That's when Signature Bank stepped in. With Signature Bank, the process was different. Signature provided creative financing options that enabled me to purchase Black and continue to grow the business. Thanks to Signature Bank, Black Industrial is able to continue serving Fortune 500 industry fabricators and contractors with tools and safety supplies as we have since 1893.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. To learn more about turning your business vision into reality, visit signaturebank.bank. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
If your money is not earning at least 5.25% tax deferred, you need to call Professional Life and Casualty. They're offering a 5.25% APY on new funds deposited into your annuity, traditional IRA, or Roth IRA accounts. Rate subject to change. Please call to confirm. With Professional Life and Casualty, you pay no surrender charges, no administrative fees, and no withdrawal fees. Professional Life and Casualty has been providing insurance and annuity products for over 60 years. Visit plcinsurance.com. plcinsurance.com. They'll send you a free guide to tax-deferred, no-fee annuity. Earn 5.25% APY on annuity, traditional IRA, or Roth IRA. Pay no surrender charges, no administrative fees, and no withdrawal fees. Only from Professional Life and Casualty. Call 1-800-651-1800. That's 1-800-651-1800. 1800.
Hey everybody, Charlie Kirk here. Freedom Square is an unbelievable service designed to unite freedom-loving Americans. I know these guys. They love their country and they're doing an amazing job. You can log on now to create your free personalized dashboard. All of your favorite news sites, podcasters, all on one site, all at your fingertips. Sign up your business right now at freedomsquare.com and start connecting with freedom-loving Americans. Look, people want businesses they can support. You want to know the good guys from the bad guys. That's freedomsquare.com. Log on right now and create your personalized dashboard. Join us in the fight, so check it out. freedomsquare.com. Freedom lives here.
Let's welcome our new Freedom Square Business Network members. Best Dental Group, MyFireside.com, Nurse Freedom Network, and Patriot Mobile. It's time to unite and vote with your dollars. Download the Freedom Square app and register your business right now at freedomsquare.com and start connecting with patriots. Freedom Square. Freedom lives here.
Hey, I'm Raquel.
And I'm Babette.
Here to invite you to listen to our show, Belly of the Beast,
where we tackle all the hot topics and issues that you are talking about today.
So join us each week for our
hard-hitting,
fun,
informative,
topical,
out there
radio show where we leave nothing on the table.
Belly of the Beast, heard every Saturday evening at 7, right here on AM 560, The Answer. And follow us on Facebook at Belly of the Beast IL.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and John Cass, JohnCassNews.com, in for Amy J this morning, and we talked about Devin Archer's transcript, the transcript from his testimony that was released yesterday. How about this?
An illusion.
How about this transcript? This is a transcript from last Friday's interview by the New York Times of one Pennsylvania Senator John Slingblade Fetterman. I mean,
you got me.
The question was asked whether the political posturing in Congress ever made him cynical. And this is a quote from John Fetterman as transcribed by the New York Times. Everyone here is cynical, of course, but we can fight for the things that are meaningful, that we should have no hungry, hangry, hangry.
Is he trying to do a Kamala Harris? He's trying to outdo Kamala Harris, right?
Well, but can't we, John? Can't we all agree?
I'm hangry, man.
That we should have no hungry, hangry.
I'm hangry, and I want a grilled Polish sausage that's been cut just so, as I describe on the pages of JohnCassNews.com, exposing the fats and salts to the heat.
Was also reported that
says the cardiac patient. Yes,
that the debutante senator from California, Dianne Feinstein, at the tender age of 90, has ceded power of attorney to her daughter. But, of course, that doesn't stop her from serving in the Senate. Maybe John Fetterman could also cede power of attorney to Dianne Feinstein's daughter.
Just say aye. Just say aye.
Coming up at 8:08, we'll review the July jobs numbers with Jim Perry, Perry International Capital Partners. Now we check the headlines with Mike Scott.
The judge halts Illinois' attack on pro-life crisis pregnancy centers. The opening of a temporary Chicago casino will be pushed back. State and local leaders are calling for federal funding for Union Station improvements. WIND Chicago News Time is 8 o'clock.
Hiring has slowed over the last 3 months. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News, with the unemployment rates dropped again in the monthly report just out.
187,000 new jobs created in July. The number of jobs is slightly weaker than predicted. The unemployment rate declined, though, to 3.5%. Also, the number of jobs created in May and June was revised lower.
Fox's Jenny Casola on Wall Street stock futures have been now rising modestly after going down right after the report came out. They have been selling 2 days in a row. We may find out the next Trump trial date, August 28th. That's the next hearing in the case. The former president pleaded not guilty in yesterday.
4 criminal charges stemming from his alleged efforts to overturn the 2020 presidential election results, including conspiracy to defraud the United States, conspiracy to obstruct an official proceeding, obstruction of an official proceeding, and conspiracy against rights. Now, Trump was fingerprinted, but no mugshot was taken, and he was released on his own recognizance.
That's Fox's Alexandria Hoff, the former president, the front-runner in the 2024 Republican race, will campaign today in Alabama. He calls this indictments political persecution. Many Republicans agree. Congressman Mark Alford tells Fox Business.
We have lost faith in our justice system. America has lost faith in the media for the most part. They've lost faith in our federal law enforcement.
Democrats disagree. They say the former president lied and are glad he's been charged. Several House lawmakers, some who were on the committee that investigated the Capitol riot, are pushing for this Trump trial to be broadcast on live TV. Cameras are not typically allowed in federal court. Chris Christie, the biggest Trump critic among the Republicans running for president, is in Ukraine, meeting with its leaders as Ukraine drone attacks hit a Russian seaport, damaging a Russian warship the day after Secretary of State Antony Blinken called on Russia to stop attacking Ukrainian grain exports.
Enough. Enough using the Black Sea as blackmail.
America's listening to Fox News.
74 degrees at 8:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. Police have arrested a man who barricaded himself inside of an apartment following a shooting on the city's north side. Police responded around 11:30 yesterday after a 911 call from a child in the 2200 block of West Cameron. Upon arrival, officers discovered 2 men and a woman exiting that residence. A woman was shot in the jaw and then transported to Illinois Masonic Hospital. A 25-year-old gunman was shot and killed by a Walgreens security guard. It followed a street altercation in the South Shore neighborhood at 71st and Jeffrey Thursday. Federal judge is halting Illinois' law that primarily targets crisis pregnancy centers. During a hearing yesterday, the judge granted a motion for a preliminary injunction immediately halting the measure, which allows Illinois' Attorney General to investigate alleged complaints against those centers accused of using misinformation. The opening of a temporary Chicago casino is being pushed back. Bally's is saying the casino at Medina Temple will now open next month as they continue preparing a site in River North for gaming and the hiring of employees necessary to running a casino. Chicago sports, Cubs edged the Reds 5-3 to take that series at Wrigley. White Sox lost to the Rangers. NFL is back. Preseason contests, Browns beat the Jets at the Hall of Fame game 21-16. The news service of Fox Valley Coins, buying all gold and silver bars and coins, silver dollars, rare date proof and mint sets. Visit foxvalleycoins.com. 8:03, time for the AM 560 Business Beat, a service of Signature Bank. Visit signaturebank.bank for all your commercial banking needs. Now the latest from the Fox Business Network.
I'm Elizabeth McDonald, and this is the Fox Business Report.
Wall Street will be reacting today to the monthly employment report for July. Movie theater chain Cinemark made a profit in its recent quarter as movie lovers return to theaters. Tupperware shares are rallying again after the company finalized an agreement with lenders to structure its debt. Apple's quarter was mixed. It's suggesting iPhone demand may remain soft this fall, though Amazon reported a much better than expected quarter, and it's expressing optimism about the business. Fashion brand Gucci is working to reinvent itself after sales rose only 1% in the recent quarter. The Wall Street Journal says parent company Kering made a mistake by slashing Gucci's ad budget early in the pandemic to save money. Millennials started losing interest, and its trendy designs turned off older shoppers. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Ginny Cosola, invested in you.
8:05, a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Sebastian Gorka says the truth is out there.
I never spoke to my son about his business dealings. Trump made a phone call to the president of the Ukraine, and you tried to have him impeached for that. The call to investigate your corruption that we now know happened.
America First with Dr. Sebastian Gorka. Afternoons at 3, right before Sean Thompson at 4 on AM 560. The Answer.
Are you choosing foods that just keep you going through the day? Or are you choosing foods that keep you going with an abundance of energy?
I did notice a boost in energy. My wife noticed it. I noticed it as I'm driving. Balance of Nature has definitely helped me out.
I discovered Balance of Nature. I noticed energy level much improved, and I could go longer and didn't feel the fatigue.
I've been taking Balance of Nature, and it's definitely given me an energy boost so that I can keep up with the grandkids.
When I tried Balance of Nature, I felt like I had more energy right away. I feel great.
Since I've been taking Balance of Nature, I've been able to relieve myself of this slump and get on with my day. I want to keep living my life with energy, and Balance of Nature helps me do that.
Get consistent, real nutrition in your body and experience the difference for yourself. You asked and we listened. Go to balanceofnature.com, and this week only, we're extending our special travel offer. Right now, get $25 off and a free travel set. Use discount code CHICAGO.
There are more identity threats than you realize. Even if you monitor your credit, only a little personal info needs to leak out, like your social security number or password, for you to become a victim. LifeLock alerts you to threats you could miss. If your identity is stolen, a dedicated U.S.-based restoration specialist will work to fix it. No one can prevent all identity theft or monitor all transactions, but everyone can save up to 25% off their first year with promo code NEWS. Go to lifelock.com.
Hi, I'm Martha Stewart. Every year, more than 4 million pets enter shelters here in the United States. My friends at American Humane have been helping animals since 1877. The goal is to ensure that pets have a safe shelter, especially during natural disasters. Adopting a shelter pet allows shelters to help more animals awaiting care. Please consider adopting today and take some time to learn more about American Humane's other work at americanhumane.org.
It is 8:07. Let's get an update on the roads, and we do that, of course, in our Team Hochberg Traffic Center. Inbound Kennedy, 44 O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. Right now, the Kennedy outbound, 26 back out to the big airport. The Ike in, 43, 390 to the old post office. Stevenson, 42 into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. Dan Ryan, 21, 95th into the Burns Circle interchange. 8094, 3 left lanes are blocked with debris and roadway hazards as you go westbound approaching Klein Avenue on 8094. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continue next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with Steve Williams.
Partial sun, beautiful day. Look for a high today of 84. Partly cloudy tonight, low 67. Clouds and sun, thunderstorm for tomorrow, the high 86. Cloudy and humid, strong thunderstorm on Sunday. Downpours are possible. Isolated tornado, the high 84. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
77 at O'Hare, 78 Midway. Next news, 8:30. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Listen to AM 560 The Answer online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, and on TuneIn, iHeart, and on Odyssey. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan, and in for Amy J this morning, the venerable John Cass, JohnCassNews.com. John, I noticed you just tweeted a picture of the two of us.
Yes,
that you took without my authorization.
Because you wanted, I think you wanted money or something to sell autographs.
I'm like
not paying for it.
I'm like Pete Rose in this. If you come in, you have to buy a piece of memorabilia. I'll sign it, then I'll take a picture.
Right.
Yeah.
Like Michael Jordan. Yeah.
No, but I just was looking at this, and I was struck by how much I am the spitting image of Leo DiCaprio in Blood Diamond. I mean, it's eerie. Don't you think?
TIF. This is Africa. This is Africa.
All right. Jobs numbers you heard on the news are out for the month of July. Not that they mean much. Great news. Fewer jobs created than expected, and fewer people are working. It's going exactly as Jay Powell has planned. Wonderful.
Can we just get to the recession fast and get it
We're
done?
not. There is no recession. There's not going to be a recession. I mean, not for rich people like you. For regular people, it may be some tough sledding in this stagflationary environment, but for we elites, John, we don't have to worry about such things.
Well, I think everyone should take the grass out of their yards and start growing potatoes because it's going to be a long Ukrainian winter.
Well, if for nothing else, to combat climate change until the Biden team figures out how to block out the sun. For more on this, Jim Perry joins us, founder, CIO, Perry International Capital Partners, LLC. Jim, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Good morning, Dan and John.
Hey, Jim.
So great news. Job creation lower than expected, and the unemployment rate going down, fewer people in the workforce. Things are really tracking nicely.
Well, yeah, I think the trend in jobs has been fairly steady over the last little bit. The reason the non-farm payroll number is so important every month, Dan, is this is the first real data that we get for the month of July, right? So this is the first month of Q3, so it's kind of the first step toward where we think we're going to be in another couple of months here. And the story really hasn't changed that much. It's a stagflationary economy. Growth is, last print was up 2.4%, and inflation is running at 4.8%. Right?
Except it's not stagflationary. It's not stagnant in the government sector. I mean, that's what's been driving a lot of the quote-unquote job creation is government jobs and fat contracts like AFSCME just got here in the state of Illinois.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, the trouble with a lot of this data that we get is that, it's all sort of gathered by a different government agency, and a lot of it is surveys and a lot of it's opinions. So it's hard to kind of make a real legitimate judgment on the pace of the economy at any given day or week because the numbers come in. But the non-farm payroll numbers really don't pick up what's happening on the wage side of things. And to your point, government always is the source of inflation. It's what they do with wages and contracts and money printing. And when inflation starts going up, there's only one thing that can happen, and that is that the Fed's got to throw a wet blanket on it.
And just to be specific, what is going on with wages that people actually care about, regular people?
Right. Well, again, we get data from a variety of different sources, but if you look at the Fed, right, they have a wage tracker. And I don't know if their numbers are any better than anybody else's, but at least they're consistent, even if they're consistently wrong. But right now, according to the Atlanta Fed, wages are going up at 6%, 6.2%. And that's a lot, that's wages are going up faster than inflation right now. And this is what Powell's been talking about for 18 months. He's worried about it.
Well, but the flip side, obviously, for those that are deriving wage increases higher than inflation is their purchasing power is no longer being diminished, and so I mean that's a good, and it also sort of speaks to a tight job market where employers are having to pay more to secure the workers they need, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, the labor force participation rate is 62.6%. That's, the percentage of people who are eligible to be working, ages kind of, 16 to 65. There's a gap of 40% of those people. They're not working. So when you've got demand picking up in the service sector by people who do have discretionary income, the businesses that cater to that, they're paying up for wages because they want their businesses to hum.
And so, given that wages are outpacing inflation and inflation has come down a bit, are we done with rate hikes from the Fed for the rest of the year? Are they going to hold serve now?
Interesting question, and it's $1 million one. I was asked that question during a series of meetings I had a couple weeks ago, and the trouble with that is that we haven't seen a wage inflation or an inflationary trend like this since the 70s. And what scares me about it is that a lot of the commentators and strategists that talk about this stuff say this is nothing like the 70s because we didn't have cost of living adjustments and oil going up. And I kind of go, well, yeah, we kind of do, I mean, you look at some of these contracts that are being written for the most important sectors of the economy, the ones that keep it going, So you've got, healthcare professionals, nurses and pilots and truck drivers and train operators and longshoremen. I mean, these guys are getting 2 and 3 and 4 year contracts that are paying them. Pilots are getting 21% a year for the next 4 years. And these are big numbers. So I think that the sector of the economy that is inflating the most is the service sector of the economy, because we're still trying to normalize after this pandemic, and we really don't know how strong it's going to be. But my fear is that we're going to be higher for longer in rates. And, you could see a 7% Fed funds rate in another year if this inflation stuff doesn't come down.
So who are we going to blame besides Steve the pilot and all these other pilots that I know?
The government. The government's always a source of inflation, John. I mean, it's the amount of liquidity that's in the financial system. The budget deficit's going to be $34 trillion by the end of this calendar year, up from kind of 31.5. And that's $3.5 trillion worth of deficit spending. That's inflationary,
It's
then you look on top of it.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I mean it's Uncle Milty, right? It is always a monetary phenomenon, inflation. And
that's right.
And speaking of that, and speaking of the that we're piling up that you were just detailing, and all the funny money still sloshing around. The one thing that could rattle the market, apparently, we found it this week when Fitch downgraded America's debt. That's the one thing that could give anybody in the exchanges some pause, it seems.
Yeah, I mean, that's right. I found it kind of ironic, I mean, we've known about deficit spending for, 20 years, and the amount of outstanding government debt that we have, and even corporate debt and household debt, has been rising steadily. And then you get sort of this blowback from all these sort of minders in Washington saying, oh, we can't believe that Fitch did this. And, in the short term, going from a AAA to a AA really isn't going to affect things that much. But in the long term, this is just another notch in the belt that says the bond market, back in '94 when Hillary Clinton tried to push the first healthcare bill through, the bond vigilantes came out and said, you guys got to stop your spending. And we saw this in the UK, last summer. So at some point here, the bond market's going to say, hey, you guys, you can't keep spending money you don't have because it's inflationary and it's going to slow the economy and it's going to hurt the average household in this country. So I think it's a good thing that there was a shot across the bow. In the short term, I don't think it's really going to affect the dollar and interest rates that much. cumulatively, the idea that inflation's not coming down right now and rates have to go up to kind of thwart it to get this labor market back in balance, eventually that's going to impact demand and equity prices.
Well, I mean, the Fitch rating downgrade is so interesting because, these rating agencies are usually captured by those they rate. And this is why they were a little slow on the uptake with the housing bubble bursting back 15 years ago, right?
Right.
And it's so interesting, especially being in Illinois, where you have the highest unfunded pension liabilities in the country. And we're spending, about the same percentage of our budget on interest on debt or unfunded liabilities, the same as the federal government is now. I mean, it's $1 trillion of interest payments on the debt, but they can print money at the Fed level, so I guess it's a little bit better for them. And nobody really seems to care if they print money because they don't connect, for example, the last year and a half to the policy choices that were made in the previous 2.5 years.
Right. I mean, the dollar gets it first, right? And the dollar's still been fairly strong. And the reason for that is, on an international trade basis, it's really about the euro and the yen. And luckily for us, Europe and Japan have worse fiscal situations than we do. What does make it more problematic is that our numbers are just so much bigger. I mean, people forget, $34 trillion. I mean, you're talking about, 1,000 billion, right, is a trillion. That's, people kind of lose sight of what does 34 trillion mean? It's like, we don't have enough output in this economy to pay this money back. And eventually, things will have to kind of get real. I don't know how long that takes. I don't think it's now. I think the economy's still going to grow this year, and I think it's still going to inflate this year. And I think that means that the average household is still going to be behind the inflation wave,
But you're still going to see positive market returns for the rest of this calendar year, you expect.
Well, I think so. I mean, if you look at the S&P 500 as kind of the most liquid benchmark for global risk, we had a high print in the S&P 500 in January of 2022, right? And right now, we're only 6% below that level after this really strong first half of the year here. That's expensive. And if some of these companies start getting some price pressures too, I mean, all of a sudden, food prices are going up again. I just saw this morning that some of these container ship rates are starting to go back up again. And everybody knows that gasoline prices are going up again. So if you start getting another push on higher prices of inputs, right, for the American economy, you're going to see a profit margin slow down at the S&P 500 level. So I think that's what we have to be watching for. We have to be very, very vigilant on that.
Just looking at Fortune 500, I took a notice of this op-ed by some functionary at BlackRock, one of Larry Fink's henchmen, about how they're giving investors a say these days since they've gotten so much pushback on ESG. Now they're at least pretending to be responsive to that and offer some changes in proxy voting such that, as the top line suggests, we're going to give investors a say. We're not trying to mandate anything, force feed anything. What's your take on BlackRock and Vanguard? What this, even if it's sort of titular in it's a reform that's in name only. Even
right.
if that's what this is, which is what I suspect it is, what does that say about BlackRock and Vanguard and their stranglehold on so much of corporate America?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's unhealthy. I would take a step back and say one thing first. There's a lot of narrative out there, Dan, that when you talk about the environment and the ESG investments, and a lot of people feel good about that. They buy an electric car and they kind of put their garbage in the right spot and all that sort of stuff, and I do too. Everybody does. But and that makes you feel good, and that's good for the economy and the environment and everything. But the point is that ESG investments really are non-economic. I think it's a good marketing tool for BlackRock and Vanguard. But if you look at the ESG investments that people have made, a lot of money's flowing into it, but the returns are awful. So if you're in the investment business, I would stay away from it. And if you want to make the world a better place, join a nonprofit and help people that need some help, but don't try to think that you're somehow going to save the world by investing in something that BlackRock says makes you feel better.
Jim Perry is the founder and CIO of Perry International Capital Partners. Jim, thanks as always. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Dan. Have a good weekend.
You too. And he joined us on the Turnkey.pro answer line.
Listen to Dan and Amy on your smartphone. Download the AM560 mobile app today at 560theanswer.com/mobile. Cable news. Noisy, out of touch, on repeat. Tired of all the lookalikes? So are we. Salem News Channel is here to change the game. Streaming 24/7, free on your TV with the greatest collection of conservative voices. Home to Dinesh D'Souza, Andrew Wilkow, Brandon Tatum, and more. Like you, we say what's wrong and what's right. Unfiltered and unapologetic. Salem News Channel. We're the answer to the mainstream media. Learn more at snc.tv.
There are more identity threats than you realize. Even if you monitor your credit, only a little personal info needs to leak out, like your social security number or password, for you to become a victim. LifeLock alerts you to threats you could miss. If your identity is stolen, a dedicated U.S.-based restoration specialist will work to fix it. No one can prevent all identity theft or monitor all transactions, but everyone can save up to 25% off their first year with promo code NEWS. Go to lifelock.com.
Hi, I'm Martha Stewart. Every year, more than 4 million pets enter shelters here in the United States. My friends at American Humane have been helping animals since 1877. The goal is to ensure that pets have a safe shelter, especially during natural disasters. Adopting a shelter pet allows shelters to help more animals awaiting care. Please consider adopting today and take some time to learn more about American Humane's other work at americanhumane.org.
You are invited to attend the Father's Tom Art Show, inspiring faith in God through beauty with Father Tom Loya and Father Tom Coys. Sunday afternoon, August 13th from 2 until 4. You'll enjoy original art by both priest artists, Father Tom Loya and Father Tom Coys. Stroll through the different galleries featuring original art, while also enjoying a light summer sangria wine and cheese buffet. Learn how beauty can lead to a deeper longing for the divine artist. That's the Father's Tom Art Show with both artist priests, Father Tom Loya and Father Tom Coys. Sunday afternoon from 2 until 4, August 13th at Annunciation Byzantine Catholic Church, 14610 South Wilcook Road, Homer Glen, Illinois. The Father's Tom Art Show is co-sponsored by Annunciation
934-1855 for your complimentary, customized retirement. It addresses many of the big questions you may have, like what to do about Social Security, managing your investments, and how to create income you can never outlive. You can downsize your house, but don't downsize your lifestyle. Get a complimentary, customized retirement plan at 630-934-1855 or visit alphawealthgroup.com. That's alphawealthgroup.com.
Advisory services through Retirement Wealth Advisors, LLC, RWA, an SEC registered investment advisor. RWA and Alpha Wealth Group are independent of each other. Insurance and annuities offered through Alpha Wealth Group, licensed in Illinois.
One of the most important decisions you can make as a parent is where you send your kids to school. But these days, it's never been harder to know which school is best. Public schools have changed a lot, and you might be thinking about sending your child to a private Christian school. But you also know that private school can be expensive, and in this economy, you might think it's not an option. Well, think again. With HalfPriceSchools.com, you can purchase tuition vouchers for half the price of normal tuition for private schools. For nearly 10 years, HalfPriceSchools.com has helped families from all over Chicagoland make the dream of private school a reality. And that can be the reality for you and your child too. Just go to HalfPriceSchools.com, search for a private Christian school near you, and purchase a voucher. It's that easy. Visit HalfPriceSchools.com. That's HalfPriceSchools.com.
This is Sean Thompson, and I'm proud to tell you about the great work of the Tunnel to Towers Foundation, a new partner of ours here at AM 560. Born on America's darkest day of 9/11, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation has been helping America's heroes ever since. When a first responder or military service member doesn't come home and young children are left behind, Tunnel to Towers pays the mortgage on the family home to lift the financial burden and bring stability. For catastrophically injured veterans and first responders, Tunnel to Towers builds mortgage-free smart homes, giving our most severely injured heroes the ability to live more independent lives. You can help America's heroes and their families by supporting the Tunnel to Towers Foundation when you make a small donation of just $11 a month. Go to T2T.org. That's T, the number 2, T.org. T2T.org.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and His Eminence John Cass, JohnCassNews.com, in for Amy J this morning. Coming up at 8:38. Talk to John Cass directly. Open Mic Friday. It's that time of the week. Give us a call. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. Take your comments, concerns, compliments, criticisms, general correct pottery. We'll take it all at 8:38, but now we check the headlines. So thanks, Scott.
I think we've all seen some of the breaking news headlines come up. Steve Mongo McMichael going into ICU. We're tracking that story for you. We don't have any clear, definitive confirmation of that. Of course, you know Mongo's been dealing with ALS and other issues that go along with that dreaded disease. And again, we'll keep you advised and abreast of any information that we turn up this morning. 77 degrees right now. And here in Chicago, a 49-year-old man was shot inside of a car in the West Loop. Chicago police say this morning the shooting took place in the 1400 block of West Madison. Well, that may sound familiar because that's across the street from the city's 911 center, sometimes called the OEMC. The victim was transported to Stroger Hospital in fair condition. Two are dead after an apartment building fire on the northwest side. Victims were identified this morning to the Cook County Medical Examiner's Office as 45-year-old Ismael Romano and 63-year-old Margarita Romano. A third person was also injured when that fire broke out in the 2100 block of Marmora Avenue. Police arrested a man who barricaded himself inside an apartment following a shooting on the city's north side. Police responded to a 911 call from the child of a person shot in the 2200 block of West Carmen. Upon arrival, officers discovered two men and a woman exiting the residence in the Ravenswood neighborhood. The woman was shot in the jaw and transported in fair condition. A 25-year-old gunman was shot and killed by a Walgreens security guard following an altercation in Chicago's South Shore neighborhood near 71st and Jeffrey on Thursday. A federal judge is halting an Illinois law targeting crisis pregnancy centers. During the hearing yesterday, the judge granted a motion for a preliminary injunction seeking to immediately halt the measure. The opening of a temporary Chicago casino is being pushed back. Bally's saying the casino at Medina Temple will now open next month. The company was granted preliminary approval by the Gaming Board in June to continue preparing the site in River North. Cubs edged the Reds 5-3. They're now just a 2.5 back of Milwaukee for first place in the NL Central. They send Kyle Hendricks to the mound against Atlanta this afternoon. White Sox lost to the Rangers in Texas. They take on Cleveland tonight. The Fire begin the knockout rounds of the League's Cup. Fire hosts Club America in the round of 16 in the series, pitting the MLS against the Mexican Premier League. Tonight's game is at the stadium in Bridgeview. The news service of Fox Valley Coins. It's a great time to bring in your scrap gold jewelry and sterling flatware, cash or check, offered on the spot at foxvalleycoins.com. And a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Mike Gallagher says it's not just political figures getting attacked.
You hear the kind of vitriol that they are directing towards all of the Republican candidates. They're coming after you and me. They don't hate them. They don't hate Trump. They don't hate DeSantis. They hate Republicans. They hate Americans. They hate the country to begin with. And who could doubt that?
The Mike Gallagher Show, weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
Did you know that St. John's Lutheran School in Lombard is the only school in the entire state of Illinois offering the renowned Hillsdale College K-8 curriculum? Attention parents in Lombard, Glen Ellen, Wheaton, Downers Grove, and surrounding areas. Are you searching for an exceptional educational experience for your child? Look no further than St. John's Lutheran K-8 School, where academic excellence meets strong Christian values. At St. John's, our partnership with Hillsdale College ensures that your child receives a rigorous K-8 academic experience. What sets St. John's apart is that we recognize the concerns many parents have about the radical woke agenda infiltrating public schools. That's why we're dedicated to providing a nurturing environment that promotes the Christian faith, traditional values, and critical thinking. The Hillsdale College K-8 curriculum, combined with our focus on our Christian faith and character development, will be a game changer for your child's K-8 education. Visit us online at stjohnslombard.com. Give your child or grandchild the gift of a faith-based Hillsdale College K-8 curriculum-based education. That's stjohnslombard.com.
Relief Factor, pain relief that's natural, pain relief that works, and pain relief that attacks the source of the pain. That's the experience of tens of thousands of Americans who are taking Relief Factor right now. See their incredible video endorsements at relieffactor.com and then order your 3-week quick starter pack for just $19.95. That's less than $1 a day. Find out if it can work for you like it works for me by ordering your 3-week quick starter pack today. relieffactor.com, relieffactor.com. Be the next success story.
What shall we do with the broke propeller? What shall we do with the broke propeller? Don't look at me, I wasn't driving. Thank you, you're not helping. I don't even know why you bought this boat. You told me that you loved this boat. That was before you wrecked the boat. Well, now you've made it awkward.
Accidents don't just happen in sea shanties, so Progressive Boat Insurance has you covered. Take as little as 4 minutes to see what you can save at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, covered subject to policy terms and not available for all boats or in all situations.
8:36. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. The Kennedy really starting to pile up now. 60 minutes inbound O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. Some music festival probably causing a little bit of traffic delay this morning. 40 minutes, 390 into the old post office. You're jammed up First Avenue through Pulaski. Stevenson in 33 from 355 into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. Dan Ryan outbound, we're hearing about an accident from IDOT. Car into the wall between the Skyway and 79th, 21 minutes outbound to 95th. Tri-State jammed up with a left lane blocked. It's an accident southbound between I-80 and Halstead, and 8094 remains jammed from 3 left lanes being blocked. Steel coils have rolled off a semi, so you have solid traffic from Broadway to most of the way to Klein Avenue this morning. Again, that's westbound 8094. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Partly sunny, pleasant, less humid, 85. Partly cloudy, 68 overnight. 77 right now. Next news at 9. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Listen to AM 560 The Answer online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, and on TuneIn, iHeart, and on Odyssey. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson.
Open mic! Open mic Friday! Call it now! Open mic Friday!
Dan and in for Amy J this morning. John Cass, JohnCassNews.com. It is Open Mic Friday. Taking your calls 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. We'll accept comments, compliments, concerns, criticisms, general crack pottery.
That's what I want, general crack pottery.
Always a fan favorite. Before we get to calls, not that you can't go off topic here, but I just thought I'd put this question out. Former President Trump sat down with one of the guys at Breitbart, and he was asked the question about the upcoming debate, and debates plural, but the first one is August 23rd. So are you in or you out? President Trump In or out for those debates?
So I haven't totally made a decision. I like the debates. I might be here because of the debates. I might have won against Hillary with the debates, and I might have gotten the nominations because of the debates. But when you're leading by 50 and 60 points against these people, and you have people at 0 and 1 and 2, and then they're going to be asking me hostile questions, and they probably won't have much of an audience if I'm not in the debates. According to what I read, if I'm not in the debates, they're not going to have a very big audience. It seems almost like it would be foolish to do them. Reagan didn't do them. Other people didn't do them. And I don't know that I should be doing it, to be up against a hostile network with hostile people that are polling at 0. I mean, they don't have any votes. I mean, one of them had actually a 0 with an arrow pointing left. I'm trying to figure out what that means. Probably means that they have too many votes and, like the election. But they're at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 maybe. And I'm in the 60s. I see a poll the other day, 78. I'm at 78, and you have people at 0. And I feel it's sort of foolish to be doing it. I think it's could be stupid.
Could be stupid.
Could be a big mistake.
Do you want Trump to participate in the debates? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. We'll include that into Open Mic Friday. I just love, by the way, his super fans version of polling.
68, 70, 80, 80.
The Bears are going to win 222-2.
Ditka.
Ditka's going to win 263 to -4. I'm up 78-0. I mean, it's very super fans-ish, but the point is still valid that he has a huge lead on his competitors, and why risk it? And it was interesting, too, he characterized Fox News, which is hosting that first debate, as a hostile network.
Well, because now he's made them hostile.
Well, has he made them hostile, or has Murdoch's kids made them hostile?
I think that Democrats not leaving Republicans a place to stand, that kind of comment doesn't go well with journalists.
Although, again, he did choose to sit down for an interview with Bret Baier, who will be one of the moderators of the debate on the 23rd. So, anyway, all right, we'll throw that in the mix. Let's get to some calls. Dawn in Naperville, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hi, good morning.
Hey.
John, I love your podcast. I think it's excellent. And I know that you had mentioned about doing a Facebook Live, and I'm wondering if that is still being coordinated. I thought this would be a good opportunity if that has been scheduled to announce that to the 560 listeners. So thank you again for your podcast.
Thank you. Yes, we're Jeff Carlin and I are putting that together. We're planning on that. We're putting the final touches on something, and hope you like it, and hope we're not too boring. And I have to get visuals. I have to be thinking in the visual format, and I'm really not a visual person. I'm more like a frumpy 60-ish guy who's comfortable in a wing chair.
Mm-hmm. I think maybe you and Carlin should do it like Top Hat and Tails, more formal.
Kind of like what Peter Boyle and Mike Frankenstein
and Gene Wilder.
Gene Wilder. Putting on the Ritz. Yeah.
Ralph and Rantoul.
Hey, good morning. Dance Monster Dance. Yeah. Hey, Dan, I've got a solution for you for the shower head pressure problem. Used this for years when I traveled. There's a little plastic disc that people, manufacturers, insert in the line right before the shower head. It's called an orifice restrictor. I used to remove the shower heads in the hotels when I was traveling, take out that little disc and throw it in the garbage as a gift to humanity. And then water pressure was restored to full Andy Dufresne fire hose down in the shower pressure.
Thanks for that tip, Ralph. That's great. Interesting and rather ironic. Orifice Restrictor was the name of my college garage band. We were a power station cover band.
Nice.
Yeah. Orifice Restrictor, it reminds me of a joke. You want to hear a joke?
Sure.
So a guy goes to his proctologist and says, Doc, my anus is really hurting. And the doc says, well, where's it hurting? And the guy says, right here by the opening. And the doc says, well, if you keep calling it the opening, it's going to keep hurting. It's pretty good. I mean, if you're gonna have somebody calling in and use the term orifice restrictor, then I'm gonna tell a joke.
Yeah.
All right. Terry in Rogers Park.
Hey, I think I figured out one of the reasons young men aren't getting married these
Young
days.
women? Oh, no, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I thought that was the answer.
Maybe it's because these girls covering up half of their bodies with tattoos are considered disgusting by sensible men, but nobody's got nerve enough to say anything about it. And I think girls should stop mutilating their skin.
Thanks for the call, Terry.
You know, tattoos over all the body might be construed as a sign of Satan. Just saying.
Yeah.
You know? It's like having a cat. Like, come on, don't you want to hug my cat? And the guy's like, no, I don't want to hug your cat.
Unless it's like...
And you know that the cat will show up next to the couch when you fall asleep, and that cat will begin to suck the soul from your body because that's what they do.
Well, yeah. Boy, anti-feline bigotry.
Definitely.
With maybe the
Be a
exception
man.
On the tattoo thing, I'm 100% with Terry. I always quote Theodore Dalrymple, who famously said, having a tattoo is like telling the world I can't defile myself fast enough. But I do like
good one.
But I would give it an exception to Selma Hayek and From Dusk Till Dawn. I mean, if you haven't seen that, you probably should. Ron, Southside.
Hey, good morning, guys. Really enjoying you all this morning. Hey, guys, a little rough for our team from 35th Street, but that's for another conversation. I know we all the same. But look here, a couple of things.
You should, since you're retired, Ron, you should think about applying to be the GM.
Couldn't do any worse.
Exactly.
Real quick. You know what? Oh man, you threw me off. Oh. That sexual class that you all were talking about, I'm like about 40 years late for that. That could have bumped up the old GPA in my
the
journalism class.
Talking dirty class.
The sexual.
Talking dirty.
Yeah, my whole career could have turned. I could have bumped up the old GPA. But one last thing, guys. This is for Mr. 7th grade, I think, history teacher. Brandon Johnson, according to the American Heritage Dictionary, a mob is an unruly crowd with intent to destroy. That's what that was. It was a mob, and they were thugs.
How dare you talk about those children that way?
Thanks for the call, Ron. Hey,
Ron, come on.
We're trying to end demonization here, and so there's no need to talk about irrepressible.
What are you going to do? Call them just because they're capping at the cameras and they're holding the gun sideways? You're going to call them feral? Is that next?
We were all supercilious sprites at one time, John. We all were young and we made some silly decisions, like carjacking somebody. We've all been there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's it.
Tony, Downers Grove.
Well, I'm still trying to get over hugging the cat because that could go the wrong way. But I have a question, Dan, about the Pritzker law letting non-citizens be police officers. And he called Republicans liars. And, technically he's correct because they let legal permanent citizens with green cards, they could join the military. They could visit. My question is, why do they keep renewing their green cards, and why are we letting them join the military if they're not citizens? Why don't they just become citizens? So what's the real ploy here? That's what I don't understand.
Well, I
don't understand why we're doing it in the first place.
Yeah, well, that's my point. My point is, we've talked about this a number of times before, this legislation that all of a sudden people are paying attention to after he signed it on Friday. We've talked about it, several times over the last several months. But anyway, so the first of all, federal law preempts. So, effectively, that's not going to happen. Only non-U.S. citizens who are allowed to work in the U.S. under federal law and individuals who enter the country without valid documents as children, but who are allowed to stay under the DACA program, could apply to become part of Illinois law enforcement. So you're talking about the rarest of rare possibilities. The fact that it's even a possibility is still wrong, I grant you. But yeah, there's not going to be a flood of people in this country illegally putting on the uniform. That said, that's the point that Tony made is the key point. What does it tell you about the mindset? A legislature, a General Assembly in Illinois that would pass this, a governor that would sign this, what does it tell you about the mindset? What does it tell you about their attitude about citizenship? What does it tell you about their attitude towards citizens?
I know, teacher.
John, please, John Cass.
What it tells you is the message is get the bleep out and come to Indiana. I'm right here. We can hang out, drink beers, eat the pork tenderloin sandwich. It's a big deal over there.
Bob in Naperville.
Thanks for taking my call. Great show, great guest as always. I have two comments about Wednesday's show. Your interview with that Levine guy, he was almost as annoying as Juan Williams.
Stephen Levin, trial lawyer.
Yeah.
You totally took him down, and it was great combative dialogue. And, I was almost shadowboxing in my kitchen. I was so worked up. But you completely disrobed him. The other thing I wanted to mention is your friend who had his car stolen at O'Hare Airport. You look at what people like this cost the community. Your friend probably lost time at work. The insurance company, had to replace his Jeep. Think about the other cars that were damaged during the chase. Anybody have any medical bills, any other property damage, the cost of dealing with this. And, this miscreant, just goes on and probably got a slap on the wrist. And it's just really, really sad that kind of stuff happens. They just need to, start locking these people up. And, John, just one quick comment to you. The last time our paths crossed, I go back to your days at 890, Dan, and John was subbing, and Andy Griffith passed away that week. And you were looking for somebody to sing the theme song. I called in, I nailed it, and you didn't even send me a My Pillow or anything.
Oh my gosh!
Did you whistle it? There was what's song? It's a whistle.
That one,
Come on, Bird.
Theme song.
Fly.
They
Bird.
whistle.
That's
And
very,
then,
that's very
Here's
good,
the thing.
Bob.
What did you think was Helen?
We'll get. You have to
question for
you have
Sean.
you have to have merchandise, right? Don't you have a Chicago?
I got a Chicago
hat?
Way hat.
All right, Bob. Hold on. We're gonna get your address. John's gonna send you a Chicago Way hat. I'll pay for it.
Was Helen Crump hot? I just have a question. There's something Sean would ask. I don't know.
What?
Was Helen Crump? Was she a good-looking woman? Helen Crump?
Why am I not getting the reference?
Because I'm thinking of Andy Griffith's show.
Oh, which one was Helen Crump?
One of his girlfriends.
Oh,
Helen Crump.
Maybe this is a reflection of my age.
I'm older than Clara.
Well, maybe it's
Wow.
and maybe it's a reflection of my superior taste. But Andy Griffith, best role in a series.
Was with Lee Remick when she was tossing a baton up in the air.
Matlock.
Oh, interesting.
Best Andy Griffith role was Facing the Crowd. Best
Yes.
Andy Griffith series was Matlock, not the Andy Griffith Show.
Right.
Scholars debate it, but I've just settled that debate here.
End of QED.
That's right. Frank in Arlington Heights.
Hey, good morning. When I first turned on the YouTube here, I thought you had Mike Huckabee as your co-host. John, I like the
Hey,
Oh,
hey, can
hey,
you see
wait a
this on
second.
YouTube? You see this hand coming at you?
He's down to his fighting weight. Not Mike Huckabee.
Hey, listen. Is this Sebastian Maniscalco pretending to be Frank?
No.
My wife's running around the neighborhood now. She grew up in Arlington Heights, and she thinks that maybe she or one of her girlfriends may have babysat for Sebastian Maniscalco.
Did she go to Hersey?
She went to BG High School.
Oh, Buffalo Grove. Okay. All right. So go ahead, Frank. Your dime.
Okay,
anyway,
Frank. Yeah.
anyway, I wanted to. I'm doing my street names this summer, so I wanted to go with you, Dan, and quiz you. You're a good history guy. You would probably know these. but just wanted to double check. You know that Evanston, of course, you went there, that Evanston is named after the first president of Northwestern, John Evans.
Yeah.
And here's 4 streets in Evanston.
It's going to be renamed Schill University pretty soon,
That
but
should.
yeah, go ahead.
Every alley's Fitzgerald Way. Yeah.
So right up your alley, Dan, who would Darrow Street be named after?
Clarence.
Actually, it's named after a man who was familiar to the Black Masons in the 1840s. So no on Darrow.
Oh,
I would have
okay.
thought that too.
Oh.
All right, Dewey Street. Who do you think that would be named after?
Thomas or John? John.
Neither.
Neither.
Two sisters who in the 1840s were Electa, and I forget the other ones.
Oh, is
Electa
this like
and Mary.
Women's Christian Temperance Union?
Were they pixelated?
Yeah. They were with some progressive school in the 1840s, so that's what it's named after.
Yeah, I'm thinking Evanston. I've got to. I just don't know as many communists from like apparatchiks from history as you do. But anyway, go ahead.
Oh, I didn't know this either. I've been going my whole life through Evanston, thinking Darrow was named after Clarence. Dewey was named maybe after George from the Battle of Manila Bay. Thinking Emerson would be named after who?
Ralph Waldo.
No, it's named after a man named Benjamin Emerson, who was the first professional milkman in Chicago.
Oh, of course, Benjamin. Of course, Benjamin. Yeah, I don't know how I could be so stupid.
As opposed to generations of the volunteer.
Yeah, the volunteer milkman. Yeah. He professionalized the milkman industry.
They did. And then Hamlin Street, you would think would be named after Hannibal Hamlin, the vice president.
Harry Hamlin from L.A. Law.
Oh, I forgot about him.
Yeah.
Could have been named after him, but it was named after some other woman who was a progressive as well.
It's really exciting.
Evanston
selections. All right, Frank, enough of the street quiz, but it's fun. I kind of like the street quizzes.
It's a game called Why Does History Suck?
Yeah. Why does Evanston suck? Lloyd in Sugar Grove.
Hey, guys, how you doing today?
Good.
How you doing?
This is for John. I used to bump into him on the train and offer up my bodyguard service. I'm a retired police officer. Used to enjoy his articles on the outfit. I'm thinking this guy's got cojones the size of coconuts.
Well, I take a wheelbarrow with me to work even here.
I don't know if you remember. You take the train. I offer up my service.
Yeah, you did.
Man,
and
this guy.
I just wrote about Tuan Doyle in Chumbolone on Sunday, I think. Right.
Well, the Tribune's gone to hell since you left it, so I don't even read it anymore. Too many libs on that one, but yeah. And for Dan, hey, Bennett Academy, your old your high school. I used to do talks over there with the kids. Man, they produce winners over there, man.
I used to.
You're one of them. You're one of them.
Thank you. Thank you. Hey, Lloyd, can I dispatch you over to go over to Bennett and crack some skulls? I mean, rhetorically speaking, on that board they stood up that's allowed some of the leftists on the faculty to take over the school.
Oh no.
Oh man.
It ain't so. Hey, that wouldn't happen if Marty, the 60-year employee, was still there. I'm telling you.
All right. Thanks for the call, Lloyd. Appreciate it. Chuck in Delavan.
Hey, Dan, thanks for mentioning the name of my garage band in high school, Genital Cutting. And then thanks, John, Chopped Up Genitals. That was the other one I was in. And not to be a racist to you, John, Oba. Hey, tonight, Foley's karaoke. Next Tuesday night, D-Light Duel. Everybody come up and visit the Wisconsin State Fair. They got more stuff that's deep fried over there than I can tell you. And
but they don't have the pork tenderloin sandwich, do they?
No, they don't.
That's how we roll in Indiana, land of the free.
I'm going to be there at the Knucklehead stage dancing at D-Light Duel, and I'm going to try to break my record of dancing with 31 different women in a 3-hour period. You guys all have a great weekend.
Thanks, Chuck.
It's what Chicago is talking about. It's Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy on AM 560. The Answer. Lots of channels, nothing to watch, especially if you're looking outside of big corporate control. It's time to interrupt your regularly scheduled programs with something worth watching. The new Salem News Channel. Straightforward, unfiltered, in-depth insight and analysis from the greatest collection of conservative minds, all in one place. SNC is home to Dennis Prager, Mike Gallagher, Sebastian Gorka, and more. Watch anytime on any screen. Free 24/7. Find what you're looking for at snc.tv. AM 560, The Answer.
John Cass, thank you so much for sitting in for Amy. JohnCassNews.com. If you're not a subscriber, become one. John, thank you, sir.
Thanks, Dan. Thanks, everybody. Love y'all.
Great to have you back. And now we turn it over to Mike for the headlines.
Judge halts Illinois' attack on pro-life